You're watching Poindexter Lounge. You already know. You're watching Poindexter Lounge for the unity.
Why did you say that?
Poindexter, you're getting all excited.
Just when you thought that it was going to be just a little too late for Enosh to stay up just a little bit later and come to you with a live stream on a Saturday night, here we are. Welcome, all of you nerd family, to the Poindexter Lounge. My name is Enosh. If this is your first time to the lounge, just know that the Poindexter Lounge is a place for nerds. It's a place where you and me and my crew, my friends, can get together and talk about all the things that we love. Things like TV shows, movies, games, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books, superheroes, toys, and so much more. And if those are the things that get your motor running, if those are the things that get you up in the morning as you watch your daughter come to the door and, I don't know, take a bite out of your husband's jugular, and then you fight for your life and fall out the bathroom window only to find that the world has been plunged into a world of darkness and zombies, then hey, you found the right place. So why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can be here when we talk about such things. First of all, I just want to go to the board. You guys know I love all of you, and I'm so grateful to everyone who supports the channel, whether or not you just watch the videos or you're a member. So thank you to all of our members. You guys are all fantastic. And also thank you to all of our patrons. You guys are amazing as well. You guys just keep growing and growing, and I am thankful for all of you. And I've got a sneeze coming on. All right. I think I'm going to be okay. I think I'm going to be all right. But hey, it is good to have you with me in the lounge tonight. This is going to be some big, long thing. I kind of wanted to come in here and talk about a couple of, excuse me, funny things that happened to me this week. And also share with you something about my first experience tonight. Tonight, my family and I, we sat down and we watched Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. And I did this kind of in a little bit of preparation. I've been wanting to watch it anyways. And so preparation, you know, next weekend, folks, is Justice Con 2021. And it's going to be fire, and you're going to want to be a part of that. So look forward for information coming out this week about Justice Con 2021. But before we go any further, I would like to bring in my guests that are going to join me on this wonderful journey tonight, and I'm sure we're going to have a whole lot of fun. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome, you love this guy. He's one of your favorites. He is one of your absolute, every time he's in here, you guys just gush over him because you know what? He's just that kind of guy. You know, he's a fantastic guy. And lately it just wouldn't be a show without him. So ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome to the channel once again, Brian Master None. What's up, Brian?
Hey guys, how is it doing? I was just getting ready for bed. I threw on Mighty Ducks, the new TV show.
Yeah.
Which I love, by the way, because I'm a Mighty Ducks like uber fan. I saw the original in the theaters. I got hockey. I got rollerblades. Bought a hockey stick, played in the parking lot. It's bringing back memories.
There you go.
No, it's been a good night.
Good. And also on the show, you love him or you hate him. Either way, we got him. And he's here tonight because, and I think I lured him out because he's always wanting to talk about movies. And I just wanted to talk. I wanted to talk about this movie. And so I thought it was a great fit. Plus, we just love the guy anyways. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Jarbo.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm caffeinated.
That's good.
So anything could happen.
So I got to share with you guys something right off the top. I have to say thank you to all of our loyal listeners, everyone who's out there. Sometimes you don't think about, obviously I love you guys watching the chat, and I love seeing you guys' comments and the stuff that that you guys say and everything, and all those who interact with the show. And and look, the show is all about interaction. That's one of the things that is the most important. That's really the most important thing to me about the channel is interaction with the people who come here, because you guys are just fantastic. Whether you're just chatting, whether you call in on call-in nights, whatever it is, I'm just grateful for it. But I know there's a lot of people who lurk, right? And there's a lot of people who just watch, and I'm thankful for you as well. Even though I may not know who you are, I may not be able to recognize your name in a chat or something like that. I'm just thankful for you. And so many of you guys came to my defense last night, and I'm blown away. And so I wanted to share this with you guys. I'm not used to people just like going off on me on Twitter. I mean, I had that moment last summer when the whole world seemed to be coming at me. But we got over that, and I'm not I try not to be some kind of real controversial guy. I mean, I do speak my mind when it needs to be spoken, and I kind of put it out there, and sometimes people don't like that. I mean, not as much as you, Matt. And
I really, I'm not going to lie, I hold back. I do. I hold back a lot.
I'm sure.
I've been vague tweeting a lot more recently, and that's because I've been holding back. So yeah, I hear you.
Yeah,
I don't even know what happened last night, but like I was.
Go ahead.
I was working until like 12:30, and then I came home and I basically just went to bed. So I was listening to true crime documentaries all night. Literally have no idea what happened.
Okay, so this was fun. Before we do that, Rel McMillan, what's up, Rel? My friend, my pal, my bud. $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, man. Even before we got in here, man, Rel dropped a super chat. So thank you, buddy. It says, Dawn of the Dead is one of my favorite zombie films of all time. That opening scene with the daughter and husband was...
Was it fire?
You got to be looking at the screen. You got to look at.
Hold on.
He's got emoticons. That's why I went.
Oh, so I get for reading.
Yes.
Just doing the Home Alone face.
I agree. You got to get up, get down with the sickness. Absolutely, you do. It's funny because Landon, there's the one scene, and I know we're going to talk about it in a minute, but there's the one scene where it has that, like, it's like almost like a lounge singer, singing it.
No, it is a lounge singer. That's Richard Cheese.
Oh, is it? Okay.
That movie introduced me to Richard Cheese.
Nice. So that scene plays in, like, Landon, like, that song is like one of his favorite songs, and like he all of a sudden he realizes what song it is, and he's like, "Is that?" And he starts laughing because he thought it was hilarious. But real quick, what's up, Ryan? Good to see you. Good to see you, David. Good to see you, RJ. Barcy's here. Always love Barcy in the chat. Who else is here? Nick Hammond is here. Caleb is here. Mladen is here. TWK is here. I'm watching it right now. Oh, awesome. That's awesome.
Everyone.
Black Ops is here. Good to see you. Sufan. Good to see you. Good. Glad to have you here. You do suck. Enosh is a god. Thank you. I appreciate that. Just a god, not the god. What's up, Jose? Good to see you. I'm just here to say, what the hell took you so long? Well, the thing is, so in full disclosure, I'm just not a zombie movie guy typically. There are some zombie movies that I do like. It's just not like a genre that I usually just really get into. But I'm going to share with you what I thought of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Not Justice League. I'm so used to saying that by now. Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. What's up? We're getting down with the sickness. Speaking of it, where there's sickness, good to see you. James is in here. Good to see you as well. Seeing here Sophie. Oh, I went to Silent Scotty, but Sophie was right above her. So I like the music intro for Dawn of the Dead, the Johnny Cash song. Absolutely. What's up, Sophie? Good evening to the bearded panel.
I can dig it.
I can dig it.
Brian's like, I'm trying.
Yeah, right. I'm so patchy. It's not even funny. Well, I had to like shave for like job interviews and stuff. So it's like, really inconsistent with the. Now
that you have a job, they can see your true self. Right?
No, I'm gonna have to really get it.
Oh, you got a job?
Yes, I did.
Oh, congrats, dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Finally, it's been a long 3 months, but it's almost been kind of like necessary. But I'm glad things kind of lined up the way they did as far as like getting rent paid and everything like that. So it's been fun.
Sure. What's up, Neon Sci-Fi? Good to see you, Rush. Good to see you. Let's see. Okay, I think that was all going that way. All right. So then, hey, what's up, Tony? Good to see you as well. Good to see everybody here. And so, so yesterday, I put out this video, and I shared my thoughts. Brian, you were here at the end of the of the video that I did, and I shared my thoughts on the whole Indiana Jones situation, and my frustration with the fact that these guys, it's just sad at this point to me. That are the geeks and gamers, they'll find anything to just go off on, and elaborate on. And, yesterday the news came out about this casting, and I was like, okay. And so I read the article. We all read the article here last night, and guess what? It wasn't a big deal. It's just, hey, she's cast. That's it. Immediately, the internet took over. Well, not all of the internet, just that side of the internet took over, immediately proclaiming that it was going to be woke, that it was going to be the most wokest thing ever. Some had her totally replacing Harrison Ford. Jeremy himself had reported. We know what's going to happen. She's going to put down Indiana Jones the entire movie. She's going to crush him the entire movie, and then just take over and run ramshot over him. And I was just frustrated. So I made this thumbnail being sarcastic, Indiana Jones and the woke takeover. Get out of my way, Harrison. I'm going to take over this franchise. Now, in the title of the video, it said something like, and I can't remember the exact title of the video, but the exact, the title of the video was just, basically, what's her name is going to destroy Indiana Jones. And then I put ... or so I'm told. Sometimes people don't read the title, and sometimes people don't even apparently watch your video before they get mad. And I understand the anger because of the others who did this, but this was kind of funny because I got tagged in this thing, and I've removed the handle because I'm not mad at her. I myself went ahead and reached out to her, but yes, this was who I got lumped in with last night. and I didn't know any of this was going on. We were watching something, and I was sitting next to my beautiful wife, who could probably attest that this isn't true as well. But beside that, we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, this, I just look at my phone, and I'm like, "What the heck is this?" And I see my thumbnail grouped it. Like, of all the videos, I showed how many thumbnails last night, Brian? Like 5.
Oh yeah, yeah, tons of them.
Oh, just tons of them. But she found mine, so at least maybe it shows that the algorithm maybe is pointing people who like geeks and gamers to my videos. So I guess they're going to be a little surprised when they get here.
Because they're going to hear the truth?
Yes. Imagine that. They're going to hear the truth.
My God, man.
Oh,
I know.
God. Think of the possibilities.
I know. But it was so funny because, I felt bad for her because obviously, she didn't know, she didn't understand. She just saw my thumbnail and she thought that I was immediately going there. But you guys were amazing because I didn't even have to say anything before you guys were very nice about it. Nobody went in there, like if this happened to somebody else, they'd go in there, whatever, yelling at her and stuff. You guys were very, very nice. You were pleasant. You basically just told her and explained to her that, this was not the case, that I am not that way. And I like, she ended up posting, it's come to my attention that the second one is a parody. The rest are all still virgins. But, whatever. But I thought it was hilarious because I just wanted to read some of the wonderful people because it was almost all of her comments were about me. Somebody said, "Yo," Peter Rabbit's Defender said, "Yo, please delete this tweet and cut Poindexter Lounge off instead. Then retweet this one again. Enosh isn't one of them." Someone else posted, you do realize that Poindexter Lounge's one is actually not the same as the others. Poindexter Lounge is cool, actually tore into those goofs for their nonsense. The Nerd Queen spoke up. I was blown away. The Nerd Queen spoke up, says, could we kindly request this tweet to be taken down? I can see you added a comment about Enosh not being bad, but this is still getting traction and people are misreading this. Poindexter Lounge is the exact opposite to what these people represent. Nice. That just, oh my gosh. Somebody said, please take off Poindexter Lounge off this. People will only look at the screenshots that you put out within the context you have put him in. He's saying the opposite of what these channels are claiming. RJ, our good friend here, said delete the post and remove Poindexter. He was angry at these other fools and saying that they're stupid for being upset and pushing hate. Someone else said, Clue said, yeah, don't lob Poindexter Lounge in. Somebody else said, WB's Doomsday said, take this post down. Poindexter Lounge isn't one of them. He's being sarcastic, and you know that already. A few likes on the tweet won't do much good to you. Somebody else said, WTF. It's not the case. So Poindexter Lounge is being sarcastic. He is definitely not like the other three. Please take Poindexter Lounge down from the post. He was not trashing like the others were. He was poking fun and calling out the BS the Geeks and Gamers guys are saying. Poindexter Lounge is a parody one that I watched it. Please take Poindexter Lounge out of this. I'm pretty sure he was just parodying all of the others. Poindexter Lounge isn't part of the fandom menace. They mock them. Pretty sure Poindexter Lounge is parodying the others as I expected. He's a man. The rest are man childs. And then just goes on and on. Nah, Poindexter Lounge ain't like the others. My favorite one was it posted the picture again. It said, one of these things are not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. That's just
fitting.
Yeah, right. I just wanted to say, everyone who went there and you represented the Poindexter Lounge, thank you so much for defending us and speaking truth. And it really means it really means a lot. It means a lot. And, Cylon, you're absolutely right. Cylon here says this is awesome and speaks to the quality of not just Enosh, but this entire community. Proud to be here and be part of it. You guys all represented yourselves very, very well. You didn't just go, bombing her with stuff, and you weren't rude to her. And I reached out to her even and even said, hey, I'm really sorry, that, people thought that maybe I was being real with that. I said, I guess I'm a little bit more of a better actor than I think or give myself credit for, because I didn't think that was where we were going with that. But I just said, hey, no problem. I was angry with those guys attacking them too. And I said, thank you. I get it. These guys are idiots. I got a little bit of, because she asked if I got any, she apologized if we got any, attack or anything. I said, I got a little, but we're good. People know me, and I'm blessed by the people who came to my defense. So like I said, I just want to share with you. And, it kind of goes back to what I said, guys, last summer when I got attacked by some certain people, and they said, oh, you're ruining our reputation. You're ruining our reputation. You're trying to cancel us. You're doing this and that. And I simply said in my statement, you know what? If something like that happened to me and it wasn't true, I would simply go out and I would say, hey, I understand this may sound like what I said or did, but I didn't do that. And I said, people know me and my track record speaks for itself. And if anyone checks me out, they're going to see that and they're going to see what I'm all about. And so you proved my point last night, Lounge. And so I'm very, very grateful to all of you. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love you and I mean it. And when I call you guys my nerd family, I really do mean that. And so it was just very, very nice. So thank you for being a part of this community, like I said, and representing us well, because this was an interesting thing that happened. Whoops. I took us all out. I just put that there. I didn't mean to do that. Okay. But so there you go. So thank you guys. So Dawn of the Dead. I had not seen a Dawn of the Dead. Have you? I'm guessing Brian. I'm guessing Matt has. Brian,
normally it's not my genre of movie, but I did see it. It must have been back in 2005. It was a long time. It was a long time since I've actually seen it again, like or to enough to remember what happened. It had like they were all fleeing on a boat kind of thing at the end of the movie, and it kind of set up other movies. Okay, yeah, I saw. Yes, I did see that movie. Gave me nightmares. I well, because I know my big guy. I have. It's like when you watch Zombieland, I laugh at it because it's like stamina. It's like the first rule in Zombieland, and I'd be dead in like 10 seconds. You know, it's like the first thing you should realistically see in a zombie movie is just a bunch of fat people running around or walking around.
Well, I
know they're not going to outrun nothing.
well, the one lady, the heavyset lady, who they bring in, and first of all, spoilers for Dawn of the Dead.
It's a 17-year-old movie.
Just saying.
At this point in time, it's 17 years old. So
I'm just warning people straight up, so I don't get more tweets like that about me, whatever. But yeah, no, I like I said, I'm not usually a zombie movie guy. I did like 28 days. What was it 28 days? 28 days later.
It was 28 days later and 28 weeks later.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. I did like those movies. And I don't know. There's maybe a couple more. I mean, I've heard some back and forth on whether or not Will Smith's
I Am Legend
really qualifies as a zombie movie.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Does it? People say
well, I mean, like they're infected. They're infected, and they operate in hordes. And if you get bit, you turn into one.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it fits the definition of a zombie.
I think so. And so, so like I said, I wanted to kind of watch it and get into it. And I was actually really, I thought it was really cool to see some faces that I hadn't seen in a while in that movie. And I'm pulling up the cast list right now.
Well, you can also notice that there's a couple people that popped up in Man of Steel.
Yes.
And so a few people here and there. I'm trying to remember everyone who did. Well, no, it was Scott, the security guard.
Yep.
He's the one that because he shows up in Man of Steel as a photographer, I think. And then it's been a while since I've seen the movie.
Oh, Mekhi Phifer was in it. I remember.
Yeah, Mekhi Phifer.
Yeah, and man, I haven't seen him in anything in a while.
What was it, 8 Mile?
Yeah, there's no Mekhi Phifer. It's like you hear Mekhi Phifer and you're like, oh yeah, I know who he is. He's in that one song with that one dude.
Right? Yeah.
He was in the Eminem movie.
He really was.
I saw that in the theaters. Oh man, that was a long time ago. I think I still have the ticket stub for 8 Mile.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
we had it at the drive-in, so I just saw it there.
Yeah. What's funny is living here in Michigan and we don't get a lot of this because of where we live or whatever, but it's kind of cool to know where 8 Mile is and
oh yeah, Ving Rhames, man.
Oh yeah, Ving Rhames is in there. I mean,
Sarah Polley.
Yeah, it was good. It was good to see. It was good to see.
And then Ty Burrell. That to me is the craziest one. That Ty Burrell is in it because he went on to become Phil Dunphy on Modern Family.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're like, holy crap, what the hell, And he's such an asshole, and I loved his asshole in that movie. He was such a jerk.
Wait. I think I need to clip that.
Wait, that he's such an asshole?
No, you said you loved his.
Yeah, you said you loved it in that movie. So,
you know what, man? Don't king shame.
Roll with it.
Just roll with it. But yeah, no, there was who else is in there? There was Jake Weber, I'm sorry, was in there, who was on Medium, and I had forgotten all about him, and I really liked him in that movie. I really liked him in this movie.
Yeah, he was good in that one. Him and Sarah Polley were really good as the leads. They had very good chemistry with each other.
Yes.
Which is what made the ending so dramatic.
Oh, yeah. For sure. Like, then, that moment, man, when because you think you see him get bit and you're just like, oh man, and
Well, I'll tell you what I love. There was the one guy with the trucker, right? I forget the actor's name, but the trucker who dies in the sewer.
Mm-hmm.
And so he died. So he was in that movie, and then he popped up in Diary of the Dead, and 4 years later in 2008. Now, granted, they're not connected, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's a Romero movie, so like he brought him over from Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, and then put him in as like another character who shows up for a brief moment in the Diary of the Dead. And I remember that going like, oh wow, what the hell? What is this? Like this is now we're going into meta territory. What is going on?
Yeah. I liked that. I liked seeing what's his name? I got it here. Hold on a second. Ken Foree. Or Forey? Is it Forey? Ken Forey? He was the televangelist that is on there he's just on there for a minute. What was he in? He was on a kid's show. Was he on Keenan and Kel?
No, well, Ken Foree was also in Dawn of the Dead. And he wasn't Keenan and Kel. Yeah, he was the cop in the original. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, him popping up in Dawn of the Dead was a great little Easter egg. Mm-hmm. But he was on Keenan and Kel for 4 years. But like I knew him as being in the original Dawn of the Dead.
Matt Frewer?
Matt. I think Matt Frewer was in it because he was the redhead's. Yeah, I forget her name.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that was her dad.
That was her dad, and he was. I always like seeing him. I always like him popping up stuff because the first time I was ever exposed to him was when he was Max Headroom.
Yeah,
in the 80s.
Yeah.
And so like he had a couple good episodes on Star Trek Next Generation. Brian.
Oh.
Do you remember Matt?
Which guy?
Matt Frewer.
He had hair back then. He was a doctor, wasn't he? He was a doctor.
He didn't have hair.
I thought he had brown hair. You know, I don't know.
I think so. Hold on a second. I'm gonna pull it up so everybody can see who these guys are. I mean, yeah. Oh, you know what? He had a little bit of hair. But it was kind of spiky. You could see it was going away. I'm saving it right now so I can bring it up here. Brian will immediately know who this guy is. But yeah, it was kind of cool that he showed up, and he's just got this small little part, but what an emotional moment that was, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, because like he gets infected, and they have to decide whether or not they're going to kill him, and they're like, are you sure? And this is when they're just discovering if the bite, talking about the bites being what transmits it.
The neighbor from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh yeah,
yes he was.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yep, he was there too.
Just remember him getting pissed off at Ray Zelinsky.
And James Gunn wrote the screenplay.
Yep. Yes, he did. That was actually what got Slither made, was the fact that Scooby-Doo and Dawn of the Dead both did very well when they came out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what allowed him to get the financing to make Slither in 2006, which crashed and burned when it came out.
Yeah.
But he actually was recently talking about that on Twitter, so that's what popped up in my head. But yeah, like his writing on Dawn of the Dead, I think worked really well. I think the two of them had good, a good chemistry on that front, where James was going to be like the darkly satirical.
Mm-hmm.
And, because if you ever watched Scooby-Doo from 2003, like his writing there was like, there's a lot of deep jokes in that. And so he had a solid understanding of the source material. And I think he did such a good job with creating tension that Zack was able to, being a first-time filmmaker at that point, was going to be able to really kind of like capitalize on it. I just think like the team up worked really well.
Mm-hmm. I really liked the fact that it just it really took you on a cool journey. I felt. I mean, even though, yes, it was zombies and whatnot, it really took you on it. I felt like it took me on a journey that was worth going on. There's just sometimes, especially in the horror genre, stuff is either really good or it can be blah, you know.
It could be like the Thriller music video, just going back and watching it.
Yeah, just kind of there, you know. And I didn't feel that this movie was just there. I felt like it pulled me in. It had an emotional pull. I connected with the characters. You know, the character Luda, the girl who's pregnant here, and Mekhi Phifer's girlfriend or wife or whatever. That whole scene with her birthing that baby as a zombie.
Yeah, that was messed up.
Wow. And then the main character, what's her name here? The blonde.
Sarah Polley?
Yeah, Sarah Polley. It's kind of funny because, you know, just a few minutes earlier, she didn't want to kill, you know, what's her name's dad when they were trying to figure out if, you know, it was the bite, you know, it's like, is you know, is he really going to be infected? You know, is he really going to come out with that and stuff? And then like, she's just like, baby gun, we're doing this.
That was such a weird. I remember seeing that in theaters, and I was going like, "What the hell?" You know, like they actually took. That was totally James Gunn. You could tell, because like he just took it to this really dark place, and I'm pretty sure that's a question a lot of people had. Yeah, at the time, they were just really curious about like, what if you were bit and you were pregnant? Would the baby become a zombie? Like, how would that work? You know, and it's so I love that they went there.
Oh, me too. Me too. I also liked the arc for I'm trying to go back here to the cast because I want to get their names right. But the one guy, the security guard, CJ. Yeah. So Michael Kelly as CJ. I really liked his arc because at the beginning of the movie, he's a jerk. They literally have to put him in quarantine, lock him up, and because he's going to shoot him, he's going to kill him, and like he wants to be in control, and he's definitely not going to give his life for anybody else, he's
going to eventually work at the Daily Planet as a
right. Yeah.
The guy trying to hit on Lois Lane.
Yep. But that's,
can you blame him?
Well, no, not one bit.
No,
damn straight.
Exactly. But that's the things like I really thought it was interesting. At one point he tells them at the beginning, that he's like, look, I'll shoot each and every one of you. I will kill each and every one of you. And then at the end, he sacrifices himself for everyone. And I thought that was pretty cool.
But didn't he call him, what did he call him at the end? He called him tourists, right? Or no, he called I think he's like daycare or something. I forget the line that he said at the end right before he shot the explosive barrel, but it was a reference earlier. It was something that he had said earlier. It was like effing day. Oh God, it's been so long. I forget what it was.
The Plunger. I've been on a journey, Enosh.
Oh, no. Sorry. His last line was effing figures. That's what his last line was.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I'm looking on IMDb reading the quotes.
Yeah. William Powell with the $2 super chat says Jarbo's eyes are glowing. Bad sign.
Yeah. It's a chill day. Don't worry.
Well, don't worry. We got our eye on him. We'll shoot him if we need to. The baby becomes zombie Blade.
That would just be very something.
James says, whoops, that's the Plunger. I've seen more than his eyes glow. I accidentally clicked on that one. I didn't mean to click on that one. I've seen more than his eyes glow. I've watched it a couple times when it came out. It's been a while though since I've seen it. I do remember jumping a lot though the first time I saw it. Well, what I thought was cool was it was very suspenseful. It was very suspenseful. I really enjoyed the pacing of this movie a lot. It doesn't just kind of sit for too long.
Yeah, well, because look at where it starts. It starts off, and then you've got, you know, like Anna loses her husband and her daughter. You know, the daughter, that was always great to start off with the daughter and like killing the husband. And then she runs outside and it's just like that wide shot.
Yeah.
And I think it's very, I think anamorphic is the term, but I just love how the angle they use showed you both sides of the street. And it just gives you this very crazy view of like what her perspective is. And then just like everything going to hell. And then she gets out of there. And then it's just like chaos and chaos and chaos. I just love it. I thought that it was, it really set the tone and it really just brought you right into the action. And they didn't like do, because in the original Dawn of the Dead, there was a bit of a setup before they got to the mall. You know, they were like, they flew the helicopter in and they landed. I forget what they were trying to do. And like they got there, but there was like, you know, time. It took time to get there. This has put you right in the action.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It puts you right in. Although, you know, I gotta say, when they're driving the vehicle at the end, you know, the two vehicles that they the vans or whatever, the shuttles, and I'm like, gosh, who taught these people how to drive? Like, I get it that they got to get out of there, but my God, like.
What I thought was really funny was like when they're in the two vehicles and they outfitted them to be able to like chainsaw through. And they get in that car accident, like they flip the one and like the one blonde girl and like the old guy just get killed right there. Like, no. Well,
he chainsaws her in half.
Oh, right. Yeah. Cause he loses control and it chainsaws her. And then like, but it was crazy. It was like, y'all dead. Okay. We're getting to the end here. We got to really cut down on the cast. Let's just wipe half of them out like in 2 minutes. Well, I'll tell you what was crazy though was Ving Rhames and the sniper across the street. That arc I really liked, because they were trying. And on the unrated DVD, they actually shot a video diary with the actor who was the sniper.
Oh, really?
And you get to see his perspective. I mean, like it was like super low budget. They did this, you know, clearly after the movie was made. Before home video release, but they give you his perspective on it, and then you get to see him like talking with Ving Rhames, like kind of about their communication and stuff, and then ultimately like when he's bit, and then when he dies, like you get to see that. So it's really interesting because that was back during the time when studios are actually putting money into home media. So they gave us all this cool extra stuff, and that was one of the cooler things in there. But I really liked just the fact that there was like this lone sniper from across the street. And they were just communicating by taking out, you know, by trying to like take out, what was it, the one Burt Reynolds type guy?
They would go and tell him who to take out. That's how they were seeing what a good shot he was because they were like, hey, take out Jay Leno. And it was a guy who looked like Jay Leno. So from across there, he's aiming and he shoots the guy who looks like Jay Leno.
Yeah.
And then he goes out and he's like, take out Burt Reynolds. And he's like, okay, he finds the guy who looks like Burt Reynolds and shoots the guy. And he's like, dang, you know, he's like, he's a good shot.
That was when I was watching in the theaters for the first time. When they shot him, and I'm like, that looks like Jay Leno, you know, like, and then all of a sudden, that's on the card there. Yeah. I really enjoyed. Because I love the original Dawn. I mean, you've seen the original.
I have not.
Okay,
I have not seen the original.
The original is like, it's such an interesting movie because George Romero always approached zombie movies with social commentary in mind.
Okay.
So the whole point of the mall was there's this whole line in the original about like, why are they coming to the mall? Why are they coming here? And that has everything to do with like, they kind of have physical memory.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of drawn to the mall. And I don't remember if that was ever really brought up in this movie. But like there was a lot of social commentary.
There's kind of like a throwaway line that it's like something about like, you know, maybe it's like memory, like, you know, that draws them in. Yeah.
And that's kind of the whole point. I mean, it's kind of like if you ever saw Land of the Dead, which was Romero's 2005 kind of reemergence. This was after Dawn of the Dead came out, you know.
Okay.
And what it was basically like, if he didn't make another of the Dead movie, Universal was going to like lose the rights or something. So like they gave him the money to make it. But what he does in that movie, he establishes like zombies kind of going back to their old jobs, like muscle memory sort of thing. And like you'll find like gas station attendant zombies or like whatever. It's really kind of weird. But in this one, this was definitely more of a straightforward, action thriller type horror movie. Like they definitely wanted to play up what people liked about zombies, like the fact that the zombies ran, that they were far more destructive, that they were more like 28 Days Later infected types.
Yeah.
And I really do think, because 28 Days Later came out in 2003 stateside, but I think it came out 2002 in the UK. And that was one of the first times to really kind of bring in running zombies. And the tension that Danny Boyle created with 28 Days Later, I really do think that when they were making Dawn of the Dead, that they looked at that movie and they were like, okay, let's see if we can emulate this, but just kind of extrapolate it, because they had a much bigger budget.
Ryan Hartwell here with the $5 super chat says, I can only imagine what Zack Snyder's Night of the Living Dead would look like.
Oh, I mean, all things considered, there's quite literally no copyright on that movie.
Really?
That movie is in the public domain. The original the original 1968 film is in the public domain. And the reason why was because the producers forgot to file the copyright paperwork.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. It's in the public domain. That and like It's a Wonderful Life are in the public domain. So 1960. There's a reason why they did the Tom Savini remake of Night of the Living Dead back in '91, which starred Tony Todd in the lead role, that's an excellent remake as well. But this one was definitely more in line, I think, with trying to play off of what came before it versus the original stuff.
Sure. And hey, William has joined us. What's going on, William?
What's going on?
Hey, Brian, what does that oven mitt on your wall say?
Oh, it says cooking with Latino heat. It's Eddie Guerrero.
Okay, I thought that's what it said.
Yeah, I got it from one of those pro wrestling crate boxes or loot boxes. It's where I got a lot of my wrestling shirts. It was kind of cool.
Dude, that lineup today for this night one of WrestleMania, somebody's got to do some time for that.
Oh yeah,
I didn't get a chance to check it out.
Bad Bunny is one of the two best matches on the card of a 2-night event. Wow. I've been watching WrestleMania since the very first one, so we're going on 37 years. This is the first one that I didn't even watch it live. I watched highlights and I watched individual matches. This was a dreadful card, man. There should be a moment of silence for wrestling fans in all languages, on all planes of existence. And
it's such a shame.
It used to be where I would either take the day off from work, or I would make time for WrestleMania. No matter how many.
Yeah.
It's awful, man. I mean, wow.
Well, they're basically giving it away now. That's so bad, though. Like,
what's that?
They're basically giving it away for $4.99 a month now. Like,
that's too much. That's $3 too much.
Ouch.
And to be honest with you, the WWE product has deteriorated since the late 1998. If you want to be frank, it has been a bad overall product, but there was always parts of it and always performance of it that's like, you know what, I'm going to watch it, whether it was CM Punk, Edge. There was always a salvageable part of the show, especially when they went to 3 hours. And even with WrestleMania, they could have 11 bad pay-per-views. You always knew that they were never, ever going to let you down with WrestleMania. But the last 9 of them have been like, wow, do I want to use sick time for this? Or even when I'm off, I found something else to do. I'm like, wow, this. I looked at that lineup, the final lineup, and I'm like, and literally, Bad Bunny did a Canadian Destroyer and was probably one of the highlights of night one. So mourn for all of us wrestling fans. But yeah, that Latino heat. I thought that's what that was.
That's too bad. That's too bad. But looking forward to Army of the Dead. Batista is going to be in that movie. It's going to be in that movie. And I'm actually, now I'm kind of, I'm looking forward to this now, actually. Like, it's, now, William, were you a fan of Dawn of the Dead?
It is one of the only 2 Zack Snyder movies I've only seen once and did not go back over again. Not because it was a bad movie, because you got to realize, in order for me to watch anything zombie, I got to drill it through my skull. I've seen so many zombie movies over and over again. And when that movie came out, I remember that movie, we saw it. I was sitting in a hangar I was sitting in a hangar in McCord Air Force Base. We were about to fly over to the other desert, and I was watching that on a laptop. And at that point, for some reason, the only movies we could get a hold of were zombie movies, and that one came out, and I watched it, and I didn't know who Zack Snyder was at the point, and I just haven't gone back and watched it over. Sucker Punch is the only other movie that I've only watched the one time, and that was it. Every other Zack Snyder movie is multiple.
Yeah, I've watched. So I haven't watched all of Sucker Punch. For some reason, every time I sit down to watch Sucker Punch, something has happened, and I've had to leave, or something happened where I had to go get somebody, one of my kids or something, and I have not been able to finish Sucker Punch, and it drives me up the wall. And I honestly, I just never watched Guardians.
Yeah, there was nothing in Sucker Punch that was like truly awful or anything like that. It just doesn't grab me. But if any other Watchmen, I could watch Watchmen nonstop. I can watch any of his DC movies nonstop. But Watchmen, to me, it's a 3-hour movie, but I can watch that. I mean, over and over again. I can watch obviously Justice League.
I dug 300. That was good. I can watch that one over again.
300.
Our friend Dawson tonight was watching Watchmen. He was doing a watch party over on Twitch of Watchmen, and I bounced in there for a few minutes before we watched Army of the Dead. I was waiting for the family to all get down here, and so I bounced over there. And man, it's like just sitting in that movie just for a minute. I was just like, holy cow, this movie is so good.
That's how you do the 80s. That's how you do. If you're going to make a movie, that's what Wonder Woman 84 missed. If you're going to do a movie that takes place in that time period, and Watchmen takes place between 1985 and 1986, you see how immersive that entire environment is. The music, all the music is accurate. The obviously Nixon not being president, with that, the exaggerations are there, but the way you felt in the Cold War, if you were living in the 80s, you did not know the Cold War was ending in 4 years. You thought we were all on the edge of getting wiped out. And when you see that movie, he takes the environment and makes you feel like you're in 1985, whereas Wonder Woman 1984, does not. So Watchmen is one of his best, and it's one of his underrated ones, and a lot of people just didn't understand that movie.
TTC sniping with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, TTC. Says unpopular opinion: World War Z is an amazing zombie movie.
Nah, he's right. That's an amazing right. That was one of the few movies where you first started seeing him using mass zombies. The way they use the mass zombie effect in there, like you see movies where there's a lot of zombies, but World War Z actually made them look. I mean, they look like an amoeba, and it was scary. Now the content of the movie wasn't like wasn't Lawrence of Arabia or anything like that, but it's a zombie movie. There's only so much. People got to realize there's only so much you can do with the genre before you start having to do the Godzilla thing, which is rely on humans that I don't care about. If it's a zombie movie, the humans are there for me to watch die. Godzilla movie, the humans are there for me to watch die or get stepped on. That's their purpose.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the thing with World War Z, though, is they didn't even adapt the book. They could have taken any of the stories from the book and adapted it. We could have gotten the battle for Yonkers. We could have gotten the whole thing with the security guard who basically was having to deal with that whole. I mean, there's a pilot who crashes in the Louisiana swamp, and her story. The book was so freaking good, and
it's almost like an oxymoron, though. Book and zombie.
Well, the thing is, though, but the book is a sequel. It's a follow up to the Zombie Survival Guide, also written by Max Brooks. And so the Zombie Survival Guide there's an audiobook of this. It's great. You guys should listen to it because Max Brooks, who's Mel Brooks' son, narrates it. And then for the audiobook for World War Z, he actually got a bunch of people like Carl Reiner, Rob Reiner. He got Henry Rollins, Mark Hamill, a bunch of people that he knew to narrate these stories, because the whole point is he's interviewing people about the zombie apocalypse, and them surviving it.
I just picked up that book today and I posted it on my Instagram. It's funny you bring up the Zombie Survival Guide. Somebody bought that book in and I posted it.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. The audiobook is pretty good. I have both the physical copies of both books as well. And no, they're fantastic. The movie, I mean, I liked it well enough for what it was. The World War Z title to it was kind of lame, but I had fun that it went from the macro to the micro. So like the macro was the first 2 acts and the micro was the final act, which is what they reshot. There's a whole thing with that movie. But like Dawn of the Dead, I think Dawn of the Dead at the time, when it came out in 2004, we were kind of seeing like this, there was a slump of zombie films. There really was. I mean, you had your 28 Days, but 28 Days, I saw like someone mentioned in the chat that it was more like, in fact, I think Music Man had said like, infected. But the whole idea of infected versus zombie is kind of moot, because if you were to look at it biologically, I mean, I think experts have said that if there actually was a zombie outbreak due to rigor mortis and decay, like, I don't know, like 8 days it'd be over, because it would just, because everyone would be infected.
Your body would fall apart.
For that first string.
That first string, yeah. So, I mean, there'd always be the fallout that comes after that fact. And I think that would be kind of fascinating for a thing as well. But there was this uptick in zombie properties around that same time. You had 2003, Uwe Boll had the House of the Dead, which was the adaptation of the video game that was terrible. That came out actually only I think about a year before Dawn of the Dead did. But I think Dawn of the Dead kind of took the concept of zombies and it made it cool again from the perspective of just mass popular appeal. And
that guy
from
sent me a movie.
What?
Uwe Boll. He did another zombie movie, based in South America or something, didn't he? Like back in like maybe 2011 too. He sent it to me.
He's done so many movies. The guy's done. And the funny thing too is I actually reached out to him a couple years ago about an interview, and I wanted to talk to him about his video game movies, not from the perspective of a hater, actually from the perspective of a fan. And he won't talk about the video game movies. He just doesn't want to. And I get it. He got a lot of crap for them, but he also made some pretty bad movies. Like Blood Rain, for example, or Blood Rain 2, which was even worse than the original. I don't get it. But Postal is fantastic, by the way, just as a recommendation. But I think when it comes to Dawn of the Dead, just the fact that the way they nailed it, the style, the pacing, the soundtrack was dope. It just spoke to a lot of people at that time, and it kind of, I think it revitalized the genre.
I remember that movie getting a lot of heat when it first came out, though, because I didn't see it in the movie theaters. But because anytime you go near George A. Romero, you got a wave of people who are like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And then when I remember George Romero did come out and support it. He supported a lot of that stuff that was going on, and because he didn't make any money, George Romero didn't make any money off of Night of the Living Dead. And that's kind of, outright because of the way the licensing was handled and the way it shifted in the public domain. He lost out on a lot of money, and that guy could have been really, really bitter, and he never was. Because he still went on to go do like how many more of the Dead movies? I mean,
you have to give him credit for like trying new things. He always wanted to try something new, and that's the best part about Romero that most people don't realize is he was always pushing things through to a new way. I mean, you have to love it that his last zombie movie, The Survival of the Dead, was basically Hatfield versus McCoy's, but with zombies. Like that's what he went after. Diary of the Dead was something that happened when we had a lot of the point of view found footage movies. It actually opened in theaters weeks after Cloverfield, just weeks, less than a month.
I want my money back for that movie, and it's been over.
What, Cloverfield?
Cloverfield. I'm still.
That's fighting words, dude. That's fighting words back. Right there, man.
Listen, okay, then we can fight. We can fight because you know what? All right, so for a year solid, I sat in Transformers, and I sat in a movie and I saw this awesome preview of this movie, all this screaming and hollering, and the Statue of Liberty's head comes bouncing down. So for 9 months, I'm like, wow, this movie's gonna be awesome. I can't wait. All I could talk about, all I could think about. So this movie comes out. Of course, I paid to see it. I'm in a theater with people who can't take shaky cam, so I'm dealing with old people throwing up. That's a side issue. All right. So out of 92 minutes, I get 6 minutes of monster and a bunch of stupid people who all deserve to die. That movie turned for me into, I'm rooting for all these people to die. None of them deserve to live. And it stretched, and I love J.J. Abrams stuff, but this was one of those movies that I'm like, I cannot believe I'm sitting through this and that these people are that stupid. So they all meet at a party, right? And they're just now meeting. Most of them don't know who the hell each other are, but we're going to go. Now, I've been in the Army. I know what the Army has. They got Howard.
Rage!
No. So if the army is going this way and they're evacuating, nobody's going towards what they're evacuating against. All right, but we're gonna go save Beth, who nobody.
Why did you say that?
The movie just is suspended. Listen, I understand movies are movies, but that movie was just, I couldn't root for those people. I wanted.
But wait. I mean, like, you're kind of like overlooking a couple of key facts here, at least with the characterizations. Everyone knew everyone. Everyone knew everyone. You had Rob,
Not
the
enough
main
to
character.
die for them.
What?
Not enough to go. Not enough to go into two very tall buildings that have collapsed.
It was his recently ex-girlfriend with whom he had, like, they didn't end it well, and he wanted to go rescue her. That's what it was.
All the other knuckleheads are like, yeah, let's go rescue her.
Because they're all friends with her too.
Okay,
they're all friends with her.
But
I love this song.
No.
Right? They're all friends with each other. Like they've all known each other for a long time. Like I don't understand. Like I get.
And they can all go to her funeral when they recover her body from.
Well, I mean, you could say you do it differently, but you know, I mean, the entire point was like the guy was like going to Japan for a new job. The girl showed up at the going away party with her new boyfriend. It caused a problem. They left on bad terms, and he felt bad because here's this thing that's coming. Like, I'll put it to you like this, right? So back in 2002, no, it was the end of 2001. I was driving. There was a girl that I really liked that I was in acting class with, and I never told her how I felt. And I'm driving home with my friend in his car. Our tire comes off on the freeway. We spin around 3 times and we land on the side of the road, like perfectly land in the side of the, like in the shoulder.
Now you went and spoiled the whole Cloverfield movie for Brian. Oh,
well,
it's okay. I was just gonna follow up a comment saying I'm not a monster movie guy anyway. So.
You gotta watch it, dude. It's
Cloverfield's not a monster movie. That's the problem.
I'm a monster raging its way through New York and destroying stuff. You get to hear it. You
get to hear it, and the little crab monsters were probably the highlight of the movie. You got to see that monster for a couple seconds while they were running under tunnels and stuff. And at the end, when they were dumb enough to stop,
he's not coming for you.
They were dumb enough to stop when they dropped a Moab, which is a huge ass bomb. They drop it. For some reason, they're still hovering over close enough to get wiped out, and then the clown at the end with the camera. Okay, you survived this entire ridiculous movie. You survived all the stuff that you just should have killed you, right? What do? You stand there and aim the camera off the one thing you've been spending 92 minutes to escape. And of course, what happens? What deserved it? It was like watching a bad Scooby-Doo movie where everybody just turned dumb. The villain wins instead of unmasking the villain.
For one, it's a point of view found footage. It's like a documentary, so we're going to be following people who have the camera. We're going to be seeing it from their perspective. Well, he's running, and it's right there, and he looks up at it. Like a lot of people,
keep running. I've had people shooting at you. Keep running.
I'm not like for one. I mean, we could also talk about
a giant monster chasing them. Of course, you're gonna run.
But they're also out in the open at that point in time, and to be fair, they had just survived the helicopter crash, so we don't quite know if he had been knocked around. And if he was in any kind of physical pain, which I'm sure he would have been from the crash, but he could have also
that camera up.
Steady
when he died.
Well, you know what? Hey, it's a movie. You know, if we can sit there and have endless conversations about a man who can fly and is impervious to bullets, we can, and fighting criminals that don't realize that they can, they can't shoot him, but they still try. People do dumb things in high stress situations.
Yeah,
it's a movie.
That was like one after another. Not really, because you could watch a bunch of P-rated movies, like horror movies.
What exactly? Well, okay, think of it like this. So they leave the party, and they want to go find Beth. Okay, cool. So they start trying to figure out what the hell's going on. It's chaos all around them. Police are trying to evacuate them. They're choosing to ignore that to go find their friend, and then they end up like Marlena ends up getting killed because she gets bit. That part's cool.
Yeah, she explodes, which is entertaining.
It was entertaining. And then, but it's like they're going through the whole process of like trying to get their friend and then get out of the city. And then it all goes haywire. So it's like, imagine if they shot a movie and it was from like the perspective of someone in Hong Kong during Godzilla versus Kong versus Mechagodzilla, and you're like, oh, wow, like what's going to happen with them? Like, are they going to try to get away, or are you going to craft a story around them trying to do something heroic during this massive event? You always have to have a human character to rally around. So
the problem is, if you're going to have a human character to rally around, they can't be stupid. Especially in the way that movie was framed. The marketing of that movie was probably hurt it for me leading up to it, because it was marketed as a monster movie. They marketed the way, I mean, I remember the website with the found footage things going around. They really marketed as the movie, as what it was supposed to be. When I got to that movie, like I said, not only was it people that I didn't care about, because in Godzilla, you know what? I see a bunch of people running. You know what? When the monsters start fighting, they get the hell out of there.
Ding, ding,
right,
ding, 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 ding. That's round one. Oh, my Diaz, 22 with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate you so much. Says, hey, people. And now, ding, ding, round two. Fight.
No, I just like, and I love J.J. Abrams movies, and I love his TV shows. But that one really was like, dude, especially for something that built up that way. If it had just been one of those throwaway movies, you know, it's sort of
so let me ask you a question then. Do you feel like you let yourself down? Because you put too much. Well, because you're saying like, well, the movie was built up like this. It actually wasn't. The ARG content was there. The ARG content was supplemental. It wasn't as much as bummed as I was that the content wasn't a larger part of the film. Going into 10 Cloverfield Lane and Cloverfield Paradox, we have seen that again. It's acted very supplemental. That the meta story is there if you want to go look for it. So if you know about Tagarato, if you know about Slusho, if you know about all of these things leading into the movie, there are elements that do make more sense. But in the meantime, it sounds to me like you built this up in your mind and it didn't do what you wanted, which I understand, but it's really no one's fault but your own.
All I did was show up the Transformers, and I saw the Statue of Liberty's head bouncing down the street, and I got excited, like everybody else in the theater got excited.
Well, that simplifies it. That simplifies it. But at the end of the day, you were still just talking about it being built up as to more than what it really was. Part of the
problem. The other part of the problem is in any movie I'm watching, whether they're aliens, Superman, or dinosaurs, doesn't matter. In order for me to get behind the credibility of any of these characters, they can't be as dumb as they were in that movie. If the movie falls apart, if the common sense factor is not there.
How are they dumb? They literally had some major event. How is it dumber than any other movie? So I'm gonna jump in here real quick because I love Cloverfield, and yes, I was part of that patio No, I wasn't. I wasn't part of your Cloverfield one. I was actually part of Dawson's. Dawson and I did did one about that, and you came in on it, Matt. So I loved that movie because I loved I totally bought in, man. Yeah, seeing the Statue of Liberty's head, doing all that stuff, man. I totally bought into it back then. I went into the theater and I was like, this is fantastic. You give me now. I know, William, you're saying that you don't like stories apparently like that have to do with the people. I love the human element of it because it showed the element of, you know what, true love. If you love somebody, you're willing to even put your life on the line, you know, to go save them. Yeah. Is it a silly, foolhardy thing to do? But yeah, but isn't any quest in any movie? Really? I mean, like when you see like somebody go to save someone or someone go to like risk everything to go do something that like, if you're just sitting on the outside, you're like, well, why is that even a thing? Like, why would I go through all that? Like, you know, that was one of the things actually about watching the movie tonight, you know, of Dawn of the Dead. Like there's a time in movies where like a normal person, and I thought it was really done well in this movie, just goes, okay, there's nothing we can do. We got to let him die. Right. But like, does it make any sense in Dawn of the Dead when the guy across the street is the sniper guy is hungry, right? And they send the dog over, and then when the one lady thinks that he's you know, going to be taken over by zombies, like she literally drives a truck over there and, you know, to try to help him, try to save him or whatever, you know, or try to save the dog because she loves the dog, you know, like that's what movies are based on. Is like people.
Well, also her dad had recently died, you know, and she couldn't do anything to save him. So there was that's
my point. That's my point is that people do ridiculous things, even in real life sometimes, just based on emotion.
What's the craziest thing you've done to get laid? You know what I mean? Like, what's the crazy
married.
thing you've?
I got married to my ex-wife.
That is, well, there you go. You know what I mean? Like, some people will scale a partially toppled building in order
I didn't
to pull.
have to do that.
Yeah,
Just
think
saying.
about it. Think about it. Like Mike. You know, Mike scaled the building and he pulled her off the rebar, and and he's all like, "Cool, like I got you, bae." And then that's what it was. I mean, we've seen movies where look at I don't know, look at Troy. Like they went at the woman with the golden beer flavored nipples. They went to war over the stupidest shit.
Okay,
This is
I hold J.J. Abrams content to a much higher standard. Maybe I guess.
The Showgirls.
Well, I mean, we could talk about there's a lot with that movie. My God. But the whole thing though is for one, I think Drew Goddard crafted a very interesting story to make this movie. Matt Reeves' direction, because it was his first feature film to do Cloverfield. And they did it for $30 million, and it was shot very quickly. Parts of it in New York, parts of it in LA. And what they did is they crafted a narrative around it, and they created a mystery around it. And that mystery has lived on now for the last 13 years, to the point of where people are still they still talk about it. The Cloverfield subreddit is pretty active, and there's all these new theories, and everyone's just hoping for the actual story to get canonized and to get explained in a movie. That's why people get really frustrated with it, going into 10 Cloverfield Lane and everything else.
Which was a great movie, I thought.
It was fantastic.
Movie.
Not Cloverfield Paradox.
No, not that. The only I watched that. I found out that movie existed 30 minutes before I watched it on Super Bowl Sunday because of the way they just threw it out there on Netflix. But 10 Cloverfield Lane, the only thing I didn't like about that movie is I thought John Goodman's character was just, his reasoning behind everything that he was doing was sound given in that situation. And then it kind of went off the rails towards the end where he was kind of crazy.
Well, then I'll jump in here with this one then. I'm in a coke field rage. There is nothing wrong with Cloverfield Paradox. That movie is just fine. We all found out about it right before it came out. I was shocked. I was excited because I loved Cloverfield. I love 10 Cloverfield Lane. It's a natural progression to me for that story. You take it out in space. You take it out on there. The premise makes sense that they're trying to create this new energy source. It takes them to an alternate dimension, where they're in a multiverse kind of situation where they find themselves and then they have to come back, but they literally made things worse. It explains it in the beginning where it says, look, you may think you're solving things, but you can release these crazy things that happen where it literally breaks the fabric of space and time and releases things into reality that were only imagination before. And by the end of it, we literally see that is true. And I mean, and that's how we get this guy. Nonsense!
I'd love to see that follow up because I mean him to finish that off and tie up all the loose ends on it. There's I mean he can do it on HBO Max anywhere. I don't even need to see it in a JJ Abrams doesn't. He's actually made some of the best stuff. Alias was a show that I always thought was going to get canceled after every episode. It lasted 6 seasons. Fringe is one of the best TV shows I've ever watched. Period. Yeah, and it survived during an era where Fox was screwing up TV shows and canceling shows that people really like to see, and they would just cancel them. You know what I mean? And this show lasted, I think, 4 or 5 seasons. And it was really, really good.
To cup of Malik's point here. So the thing is, we don't know what's going on, but I will say this because it talks about this in Cloverfield Paradox when it talks about all these alternate realities being released, all these possibilities and everything. It talks about the fact that using that energy source can rip space and time and can actually affect things in the past and the future all at the same time and kind of bring all these things together. And so that's why by the time you get to it, it could literally be that the first Cloverfield movie was actually in the future of Paradox, except for it's in reverse. So it literally releases something in the Cloverfield monster in the past. Instead, I mean, it's like 3D chess, man, from Star Trek. You know, Brian. It's like it's like you're looking at all these different angles, and you literally have to kind of look at it from different ways. And when you listen to the dialogue in that movie, and you understand what they're setting up for the 2 movies that even came before it, man, it makes me just look forward so much to this 3rd one or to this 4th one. You know, which is
there a 4th one being greenlit?
Yeah, it's supposed to be. It's a sequel to the first one.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be a direct sequel to the first one.
Yeah.
So they won't be dealing with Paradox and 10 Lane.
No, well, because what JJ did. Well, they might tie it in if they write it to tie it all in. But the idea there was 10 Cloverfield Lane and Cloverfield Paradox were not originally those movies, right? They were originally written as something else. I believe the shooting title. Yeah, like the shooting title for I think like for 10 Cloverfield Lane, I think it was called like The Cellar or something, right? And that's what it was called originally. And then they added in all the Cloverfield stuff. If you notice, there's only like a couple cutaways. There's a cutaway when what's her name? Mary Elizabeth Winstead is like trying to climb up to the top. She puts her hand on a piece of on a mail. And you see like Tagurato, right? Like that's like the connection. And then the ending with like the alien that she fights. That was all reshot after the acquisition. In Cloverfield Paradox, they actually have a making of on the DVD.
Do they?
Yeah, there's a making of on the on the Blu-ray. But the thing is, if you listen to the cast and their interviews, the cast mentions nothing about Cloverfield because it was not meant to be Cloverfield. It was meant to be something else, an original sci-fi movie that Paramount acquired, and then our Bad Robot acquired, I think, and then they went in and they made it.
Cloverfield movie. It's on here. It's on here. The feature, because like I actually have to give this away. You know, we should probably give. You know, why don't we give this away tonight? DVD feature film. It says plus it's got Things Are Not As They Appear. The Making of the Cloverfield Paradox. Shepherd, and then there's another one called Shepherd Team, which is the cast. So that's on here.
Yeah.
Well, you know, movies I miss are like this good old like survival type movies. Like, but you want to talk about like stupidity and survival? Like, I love the movie The Day After Tomorrow, the one with the Roland Emmerich movie.
That's the one with the snow.
The Day After Tomorrow
with global warming.
I love that movie.
They're running from the freeze.
Yes, and they're like all huddled in the one room in the library. Oh man, it was a great movie.
I never thought the coal was a living thing that you would have to run that fast from and hide from. But
right, it was a cold monster.
That's another deployment movie I watched.
Yes, this is Michael. You're right. Cloverfield Paradox was originally called The God Particle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then somebody mentioned it a little while ago. It was originally rumored, but you know, like I don't know if if it was actually supposed to be, or if that was just a rumor, because it obviously didn't come to fruition.
Oh, Overlord?
With Overlord, though, because I was looking forward to Overlord being part of the Cloverfield.
They cut all that out. As far as I know, they cut all the Cloverfield references out.
So there were Cloverfield references.
It was, well, because it was shot for that, right? It was talked about before production began that Overlord was going to be the 4th Cloverfield film. Or it was going to be the 3rd Cloverfield. I think maybe 3rd or 4th. I forget when they first announced it. But it ultimately ended up getting scrapped for its own thing. And I'll tell you this, when it got scrapped from being a Cloverfield movie, I put it out of my mind. I still haven't seen it.
Oh, I saw it. It's actually not. It's not a bad movie. It's not great. But you could tell that it was pieces of a movie. In my opinion, there were certain things that happened at the beginning. It just doesn't flow at all. It has some good special effects, Nazis and all that stuff. I mean, but it reminded me of watching like Castle Wolfenstein, but with a slightly better story and some monsters. There's some cool war scenes in there when they're first flying over Normandy and this plane gets ripped up through bullets. It's not a bad movie. I got to see it for free because it was one of the first movies we promoted with the movies that we give away tickets for. So I was just there, but wasn't a bad movie. But the more I learned about how it was pulled away and all that, then it made sense that it's just like it's pieces of a movie, that kind of just got glued together, and that's the best I can say about it.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Not a complete waste of time if you ever do see it. Not a complete. Once you watch it, you won't kick over your chair saying, "I want my 90 minutes back." I'll put it there.
I enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed it. I know me and Tiffany both enjoyed it. So, yeah. I thought
it had the violence and death that I require. So.
There you go. Yeah, it was gruesome. It was gruesome in some spots. I mean, as far as its portrayal stuff. Oh.
Yeah, opening scene with the bullets are ripping through the and half the guys in the plane died before they can get out. That's anytime you make a movie that takes place at or near Normandy, somebody's getting blown up, somebody's head's getting taken off. I mean, and whether it's a science fiction movie or not, if it has to do with that particular day in our history, it's going to be some violence.
Yeah. No, it's good stuff. It was definitely good stuff. But I'll tell you what we'll do to give this away, because I tried to give this away once, and Lewis Cox won it, and I didn't even think about it because when I did this giveaway, I just honestly didn't think about it, and so Lewis is in the UK, and I was like, oh, I'm still going to try to send it to you, and I did. It was going to cost me almost like $100 to send it to him, and I was like, yeah, you know what?
Pounds or dollars?
Dollars. And so I was like, oh, you know what? I think I'll send you an Amazon gift card. If you want to buy it, you can buy it.
Perfect.
There you go. And then you can have it there wherever it is for you. So you know what we'll do tonight? If you are in the continental United States, I'm going to open this one up since we already gave this to somebody who had given who actually is a member of the channel. So what we'll do tonight is, if you have not seen, if you've not seen these movies, let's narrow it down a little bit. So if you've not seen these movies, and you're in the continental United States, put your name in the chat. Just put Cloverfield, and here at the end we'll give this 3 DVD set away. It is the DVDs, it's not the Blu-rays, but it was a cool set that I just saw, and I was like, you know what? I think people will like that. So.
Just seeing you hold physical media in your hand gives me hope for the future.
Yes, I love physical media. So,
yeah, it's rare. I mean, do things even come out on DVD, Blu-ray? I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot of cool stuff is coming out on Blu-ray. I mean,
they're doing all the 4K transfers right now.
Oh yeah, remember on Tuesday when everything used to get released on Tuesday? Is that still the way they do it? Where coming Tuesday and you just go to Walmart and a big old stand up of whatever it was, and you'd snatch it. Those are cool. I mean, I love DVDs, special features and stuff. And I'm pretty sure you can replicate that on streaming too, but it's not the same. It's just not the same. Bring back Blockbuster, damn it.
Well, well, I'm only 5 hours away from the last Blockbuster.
Oh, Bend, Oregon?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I got to get out there. I watched the documentary. Did you see the documentary?
Not yet.
Oh,
but
dude, it's hilarious.
I just find it funny that it's like, given the fact that Blockbuster did its part to destroy the mom and pop video market or video store, here we are kind of celebrating the last one. Like, oh my God, remember Blockbuster? That was so cool. I mean, they did everything they could to kill the mom and pop shops, and then they were killed by Netflix, which they had the opportunity to buy at one point and turned it down.
You think they were killed by Netflix? Because the documentary points out a lot of that, but there's a disagreement.
I mean, like, okay, like, look. You can argue that just the general tastes started to shift. Okay, people stopped renting as much, but that
even
also
the mail-in thing was starting to get them. Like,
I mean, the fact that like they had the fact that these movie companies or these Blockbusters and whatever, they make their money off of late fees. That's where they make their money, and so that's why it's such a big deal. I used to work for Hollywood Video. Like, late fees were like our lifeblood. And so that was the whole thing, is like that's why. So when that started going away, because they had to compete with Netflix. Like, do you remember when Blockbuster decided to do away with late fees?
Yeah.
And like that was a big controversial thing.
I'll be right back.
Because people were arguing like, well, this means like no one's going to return the movie, And
I ended up buying a lot of movies that way.
I bought a lot of movies. Yeah. Well, Hollywood Video did really good at like circulating out their older stock, like a couple months old, you could get like a buy 3 for 20, on a good deal or something. And I'd go to Blockbuster and I'd buy a lot of their movies as well, because I'm like, yeah, shit, like $5 for, I think I bought like
all the old ones. Like, yeah, heck yeah, dude.
Yeah, I mean, like when they were closing when I was living in LA in 2012, they started closing the Blockbusters there. And I would go through, and I think I bought like Pirates of the Caribbean 4 for like $5.
I made it like a bandit, like with the video games. Oh man, like I had so many 360 games, it wasn't even funny.
Yeah, you could get them for super dirt cheap and whatnot. Like I miss like I have to. I'll tell you this though. So when I got fired from Hollywood Video, in 1999, they told me that when I returned the movies I had checked out, that I would not be allowed to step foot back on the property again. Now, which I thought that was really weird, right?
Wow.
That seemed like a little bit serious, because apparently I was fired for like using a manager's password, which we all use the manager's password. It was written on a sticky note, but I got in trouble for it. I was moving to California. I think they got caught and they needed to make me a scapegoat, because like the whole place was run terrible. But anyway, I had a copy of The Matrix on VHS. I had checked out 10 Things I Hate About You and Office Space, our only copy of Office Space, by the way. And so I kept them because like
commodity.
Screw them. I'm like, oh,
Right?
so wait, so you're telling me I can't go back on the property once I return? So I'm like, there's no reason for me to return any of this stuff. So I got them somewhere. I'd love to find those just to look at a Hollywood Video case again.
I got one in my office. Hey, here's the thing though, and when I watched that documentary, and I also watched a couple other things about Blockbuster and about the rise of Netflix and everything else. And yeah, Netflix killed them in a way, but a lot of it was their own lack of vision. Because even if they didn't buy Netflix, they had the resources at one time before Netflix.
Love you, Luke.
To convert over to their own type of streaming system. They had the resources to do that. They were so entrenched in their ways that they didn't. It wasn't just for me not buying Netflix. It was just they had like a Warner Brothers frame of mind. They had a antiquated view of the future that they had the resources to avoid. Because if you if a Jason Keelar would have been running a Blockbuster at that time, he wouldn't have needed to really purchase them. When they would still remain competitive. They just didn't have any vision, and their customer service at the lower levels reflected it. But they could have.
Well, you're asking people who work retail for minimum wage, to like do more. That's the biggest problem here. If they wanted to have vision, they would have implemented things better. I agree with you. But they did, but it was too little too late, because they branched out into like they branched out into like the kiosks, mostly at Dollar Trees in LA. They were all over the Dollar Trees in LA. But again, Redbox was coming up, and Redbox was just able to get to like 7-Elevens and a lot of other places and everything. And then I think they did do a short Blockbuster streaming service. If I could be. No, I know.
I think it still existed. That's the only form Blockbuster still exists.
Because didn't DirecTV buy Blockbuster?
Yeah, and that's how they did it.
And then who owns DirecTV now? Isn't that AT&T?
No, they just sold them. They did, but they just sold DirecTV from under them.
Okay. So you're saying there for a time, effectively for a time, Warner Brothers had Blockbuster, had the rights to Blockbuster. I guess.
Yeah, but they were developing, obviously, they're developing HBO Max. But here's the thing, though, at all these things that you're right about, all that, but they had everything they needed to circumvent a Redbox. They had everything they needed to circumvent or compete with Netflix. They just didn't want to let go of that model until it was too late. And that's the sad part about it is they could have been the titans of the industry, or at least had a share in that pie, but they were holding on, just like I said, Ann Sarnoff is holding on to the big silver screen and thinking that that's going to be the end all be all of entertainment, while we got streaming and everything else coming in to take over some of that territory. And eventually people like that become the Cro-Magnums and get pushed out. And that's what Blockbuster was. I think Blockbuster was 100% their own killer. I don't
Well,
think it was
that was the same
that
thing
good.
too. Well, the difference between Blockbuster and Hollywood Video was Blockbuster was all corporate, right? It was all one entity.
Yeah, there
They
was no
had
franchise.
expanded.
Yeah.
There was no franchises. Hollywood Video was all franchises. So there was really nowhere to go. And also they had so many problems at their corporate side that this ended up ultimately killing off Hollywood Video, which is really unfortunate. And then, yes, I agree that Blockbuster didn't innovate well enough. The biggest, I don't know if I agree with you on them actually, if they would have had better leadership being able to compete, because they were tied to the brick and mortar and they believed that the brick and mortar were going to stay. But once Netflix decided to go instant in 2007, you could see the writing on the wall.
But you got to realize when Netflix did that, it was a big risk back then, and they went into a very deep hole doing that. Blockbuster even still had 5 years after that where they really could have made inroads if they wanted to. And leadership is it, because you take on the persona of the guy in the corner office for the most part. And if the guy in the corner office, like you said, is holding on to brick and mortar, then that's where they're going to die. That is the hill that they're going to die on. But if you have somebody in that seat that is looking at all of this, and a lot of these guys steal ideas from everybody else. Blockbuster had the advantage. They could have basically pillaged these ideas from all these up and coming things that were happening, and they just didn't. They just didn't have. They were seeing the world in black and white while everybody else was moving to Technicolor, and that's what killed them.
A lot of brick and mortar though, like even like where I used to kind of work. I worked in auto parts, and every single part you can get in those stores. One, you can get them at Walmart.
Rock Auto.
Okay. Amazon, everything. You can get it way cheaper online and you can get it sent to you. The other half of it is a lot of times you're buying a brand new car. Where do you get it serviced? Dealership. So it's like those kind of brick and mortar stores, I think, are going to be the next in line for basically not necessarily going away entirely, but maybe going more to like a warehouse commercial side of things, where you're dealing with shops and stuff like that, but not necessarily the do-it-yourself customer. Amazon is going to kill brick and mortar. I mean, like that kind of business where you can buy clothes, you can buy damn near anything.
Well, the thing is, it's not Amazon's not going to kill brick and mortar. They're going to take over brick and mortar. There's already, like in Seattle, they have Amazon convenience store. There's like one convenience store, and you literally.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no, yeah. You walk in and you don't even need to it's cashless, so you just use your app to pay at checkout. In Washington Square, which is a mall right outside of Portland, which is where I grew up, they actually now have I don't know if it's still there. It was there a number of years ago, but they had an Amazon bookstore. Same concept. You walk on in, all the books are there. You grab the one you want. You just go to the front. You don't even have to. You just use your app. You pay for it. You walk right out. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to take over brick and mortar. They're going to take over these grocery stores, because they bought Whole Foods. Amazon bought Whole Foods as well. Yeah. So right. They're gonna take over all that stuff, and that's where they're gonna. I mean, look, they're talking about putting a new distribution center, like in the city I live in, And after all that crap in Bessemer, Alabama about peeing in bottles, like, you know what? It's a terrible job, but people are gonna take it.
The only thing that really is a major threat to Amazon is supply chain and cost of supply chain, because even though they voted against the union in Alabama, that's not going to happen everywhere else. There are going to be places that eventually are going to vote in union at some of these plants. Yep. And what that's going to do is it's going to increase the supply of the flow of merchandise and everything else. Another thing is the U.S. Postal Service. Eventually, if there's U.S. postal reform, you're gonna see some issues there too, because right now, even though you have UPS, you have FedEx, you have all these things, you still need the U.S. Postal Service, because there's places where none of those places can go. And if the cost of moving things around increase, then you're gonna allow for other people to come in. Even though they bought Whole Foods, you still have other places around that are competitors to them, and eventually it'll be the consumer. So if the supply chain gets compromised with Amazon on certain merchandise and the prices go up a little bit, then that's going to allow for other people to come in and compete with them on a more even playing field. As far as them taking over brick and mortars, I can kind of see them bringing brick and mortars back, but I can also see the customer's mind shift changing to where Amazon will eventually become an adversary to where they're not looked upon necessarily, as favorably as every. Because like Walmart, when I was working for Walmart in the mid '90s, Walmart was the better than sliced bread. But as things went on, as they dominated more, as they got into every aspect of life, and then employee situations started to become more expendable, they became the big Satan. So your consumer will go to places like, what's Whole Foods competition? They have they got them out here, but there's a lot of them out here. But all it takes is that kind of mindset. I don't know if Amazon's going to stay on top forever, just like Walmart didn't.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
Walmart
the thing is though, is we're talking about convenience, right? And that's what made Walmart popular. And that's
prices.
even and the prices. And it's like, but going back even on the subject of movies, because I know this is what we're supposed to be talking about. That's what Blockbuster in Hollywood Video had, was just they had the convenience and they had the stock, right? And they had decent prices for the rentals, and mom and pop shops, ultimately couldn't compete with that, even though pornography was a big part of their business.
The back
room with the black curtain. We all knew what it was.
Like it's a massive thing, and so I want to see his thing.
There we go.
The room with the bee.
Just liking to tease everybody a little bit, just tickling it a little bit.
You're going to hell, Straight to hell, man. But Jarbo, I think another thing that might alter that course with like physical media is this pandemic we're going through. I think that people, like I was telling you the other night, random encounters, or don't underestimate the value of random encounters. These places are gathering points, and we haven't been able to gather in a year, and over a year in some cases. You're going to see people seeing awful movies just so they can go out and get to the movies. And I think that the value, like records, I never thought vinyl records would ever come back in any form. We got several record stores out here that are here, and I think that it will come around, because this generation that was introduced to Netflix, you got people that don't know what it is not to have a cell phone around, that don't know what it is to not have a remote control around, and a lot of that will be a backward cycle. But I do think you'll see physical media survive this. To be honest with you.
I'm not saying physical media is not going to survive, because I do support physical media. I just got my copy of BVS Ultimate Edition today, the 4K version, the new one.
Lucky bastard.
I'm very happy with that. I've been wanting to get it. So I support physical media, but what you're also talking about here though is accessibility and convenience. People are going to be, some people are going to go see movies. I mean, obviously Godzilla v Kong has done pretty well, which is good.
Hey, Hugo, there is actually a society of people who collect, appreciate, and still maintain cassette tapes. Look, I've got, I still got a bunch of my old cassette tapes, and especially like recordings and stuff that I have since I was a kid. I mean, like, my goodness, I literally have right here cassette tapes that I'm trying to transfer to digital even now, because like they're literally almost 40 years old. Stuff that I have of when I was 13 years old, doing crazy radio like shows and stuff with my friends at like 2-3 in the morning. Like my friend Harold, like being absolutely obnoxiously inappropriate with my grandmother screaming at us from downstairs. I mean, like stuff that's like memories, is like on there. But like even just music. I just watched a documentary not too long ago about cassette tapes, and there are these people who, like, for them, the fidelity of a cassette tape is the best. That's like, they don't like CDs, they don't like digital. That's what they like.
If it weren't for cassette tapes, I wouldn't be into half the bands I'm in, because I was broke. When you're like 10, 11 years old, I don't have a job. And a lot of the bands I got to listen to is because I borrowed a cassette tape from somebody else who had recorded a bunch of other stuff from somebody else who had bought the original one. So I was getting the third and fourth hand versions of, like, Master of Puppets and things like that. And I wouldn't have known these bands. I wouldn't
have to wait for it to come on the radio and then hit record.
Yeah, and they play the worst crap unless you were living in LA for a little bit and you listen late at night to pirate radio. They would play all the other stuff. That was what was called the B-side. But I couldn't afford to go get these. These things were $12, $13, $20 a piece. And even, even in living on base with a discount, I couldn't afford to. But because of tapes, which I think is the greatest invention of man, I was able to get a tape that belonged to 3 other people, and I was able to listen to a bunch of songs. And then when I finally did get a job, and I was able to buy my first one in 1991, I'd already been listening to music for 10 years. But that's what I mean. You could pass around in class, man. I don't know how many. How many times I tapped the tape? I mean, and it was funny because I didn't realize, because I'm an idiot, until 1991 when the Black Album came out, that Kill 'Em All, Master of Puppets, and Justice, these are all on different albums. I didn't know that until I was 16 because when I got these tapes, I listened to them from under, and it would be somebody recording it, their favorite songs from each and every album. So you got what they thought was the best, and it was like, oh, they make other music too. And then when I got money, I was buying them a tape a week, man. That was a golden era, man.
Well, it'd be funny too. You remember when you'd have a cassette tape and it would get warped in a certain spot?
Get that pencil?
Yeah, right. Well, no. I mean, it'd get warped in like a certain spot, or the tape would break, and you'd have to fix it with a piece of Scotch tape or something like that. But
I sucked at that. I tried.
Oh, I know. It was hard to do, but like every once in a while, you just have like a little part that was just worn, right? And so you'd get to that part, and it would just kind of be singing along, and it just ooh, and then it would come right back, and stuff. And then you'd hear the song on the radio, and you'd go, "Oh yeah, that's not part of the song. That's right."
Doesn't sound as good as it did on my tape.
Oh. I used to work. When I worked for the movie theater, I had to tear down prints and build up prints. So I got really good at splicing. Wow, so if I had that problem, I got real. And my first job was working in a label making factory with a lot of that kind of splicing and cutting as well. So I got real good at being able to do that to cassette tapes if necessary, with minimal damage. But that's some old school stuff.
Over here with Dookie from Green Day.
Yeah, I'm kind of dating myself. My first cassette tapes was it was like at the waning end.
1994.
1994.
Yep.
Offspring Smash and Green Day's Dookie. I just remember the fun of like sitting there and listening like half the day for your song to come on the radio, and then
taping it.
And then taping it. But the thing is you'd get the DJ talking into the first like 30 seconds of the damn song, or like he'd come on at like the end of the song.
End of it.
Yeah,
I called up a radio station because I was so angry because there's 2 different versions of Back in Black by AC/DC. There's a crappy version that should be banned, and it's the one that cuts off the guitar solo at the end. So every time I would be trying to tape that song, they would either cut the end or the clown DJ would come in and start talking right in the middle of Young's. I'm like, and I called him up one day. I called up the radio station. I'm like, stop that, stop.
I got funny stuff here. Like I got a Rush tape right here.
Oh,
damn. This is Fly by Night.
Fly by Night. Yeah.
You want me to make you cry right now? So this was not my Rush tape. This tape right here. No, this tape right here in 1994 when I started. I brought up Brian.
That's all right. I'm a huge Rush fan too.
So this tape right here. This was not my tape. This was my friend's tape, and we were over at his house, and we had just started my first band, Antioch. And we would record our band practices, and if we were looking for a tape and we couldn't find a tape to put in the boom box that was right there, like on and just record the room. And so he grabbed this tape, put tape over the edges, right? Because remember when you knock out the, if these were knocked out, you couldn't tape over it, right? Put tape over it. So, for any Rush fans out there, I'm sorry, but if you ever find this on the ground, it won't be Fly By Night. It's going to be my old band, just before we even wrote songs, right when we were writing songs. So it wasn't even like we had anything coherent. We were trying to just work stuff out, and we're doing little stupid skits and acting stupid, till 2 a.m. and stuff.
So I pop that in and I want to hear Anthem. I don't hear Anthem.
You're not going to hear it. You're going to hear something. It ain't going to be the anthem you think. I mean, just blank tapes of my band and stuff playing live and everything. And it's like I've got an interview that my band did on a radio station back in '96. Wow. I mean, and then
that's history, man. That's
this right here. Y'all want to know how old I was when I got started? Here's something cute for you. Me preaching at 5 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah, my grandma hit record on a thing because I grabbed a Bible and I just started going to town and just
See,
yeah.
This
fun
stuff
stuff.
I know
you can't really do that right anymore.
No,
I know.
you really
I
can't.
know what you're saying, Jarbo. But at some point, somebody's got to bring some of this back, because I just really think that people are, there's just certain things that are left out when you don't have access to physical media.
Sure.
There's just it's just, I mean, I know it's an uphill battle, but damn, it does. When I see him pull that stuff out, and I remember all that, and I remember going into these places, and it's not the stuff you aimed for too. See, right now, getting everything on the screen. If I'm gonna go see Godzilla vs. Kong. I can go in, I can find it within 5 minutes. But when I would go into a record store, half the stuff I ever bought, I wasn't there for. I came in for something else, and I was flipping through, and I sampled, and then I ended up walking out with stuff that I didn't even think about, and ended up having lifelong fandoms of groups that I would have never gotten a hold of if it hadn't been for physical media. And I'm wondering if that ever, if it was magically ever to come back, how better music would be, not just because of the sound, but because of what you're exposed to.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the music today, I think, is not as great, simple because it lacks the diversity of the culture that a lot of the people that were putting this music together, they had cultural differences. Like if you play rock guitar, you're a rock guitarist. Yeah, I'm assuming. Yeah, I saw you.
Yeah.
Okay. The influences that go into rock guitar go all the way back to, Bo Diddley. I mean, and Ted Nugent said this one time. He said if there was a Mount Rushmore of guitar guys, the only white guy that would be on it, in his opinion, was Les Paul, and that's because he invented the damn thing. And he named off a whole bunch of people that you wouldn't think that he had been influenced by, but that's how a lot of those bands came up with. And they went into these places, and they played pop tapes. They were listening to demo tapes from other people. I don't think you get that kind of creativity with what we have today, unless you're just
because it was so instant. You know what I mean? Just like that Rush tape. And I know I'm waiting for Geddy Lee to show up in the chat right now. Honestly,
I know the Plunger's already there.
In 5, 4, 3,
right.
2, 1. Yeah, there he goes. But so Bruce, my friend Jenner, my friend Bruce here. By the way, Bruce, I will have you know that your C3PO.
Oh my god.
That your C3PO was on the Dave Pena show last night on the vodka stream. So there you go, Jenner Custom Toys, baby.
You're gonna get kicked off of Facebook, man. You're showing genitals.
It's goldenrod. It's not genitals. It is not genitals. It is a mechanical part to a robot. So there you go. Anyways, it featured there last night, man. Just letting you know. But yeah, like he said, he's like, I used to actually call the radio stations to complain about him talking too much over the music. I love this. Silent Scotty says my first cassette was Crisscross.
Jump. Crisscross. Wow,
the Mac Dad will make you jump.
Hey, these are where the clothes
Daddy
on
Mac will make you jump. One of those miggity Mac.
Yeah, those guys. One of those guys.
Wiggity whack. I can imagine Silent Scotty getting down to some wiggity whack right there.
Everybody did. Man.
Now, Jarbo, you were down with the Mac Daddy, right? And the Daddy Mac.
Yeah.
You had your clothes on all backwards and stuff, jumping around.
No, God, no. I like crisscross and all that stuff, but I never went that far.
That was their thing.
That was their thing. Yeah, that was because they were big when I was like that right age. But I do have a funny radio story. So radio station story. So one night it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was listening to the local like Z100 as a station, and I got I'm like, you know what I really want to hear right now? I really want to hear some Kiss, or not Kiss. Sorry, I want to hear Seal. Right? I want to hear Kiss from a Rose. And so I called the station, and the guy answers. I said, before he could say a word, I said, hey, I'd like to request Seal's Kiss from a Rose. He's like, all right, cool, man, great. Also, you're caller number 10.
Oh, yeah.
So, he's like, so you win 2 tickets to go see our early screening of DreamWorks Ants. So I did. I got the tickets, and none of my friends wanted to go with me to go see it because they all thought it looked terrible. And so
remember the calling contest all the time? Oh.
Yeah, I won it accidentally. I just called in randomly and ended up being the right caller.
I won tickets to Billy Madison. I won tickets to Billy Madison off the radio, and it was funny because I can't believe that I won them because the question I'll never forget. I was like literally at the gym with my cousin Sam, and we were leaving the gym. We got in the car, turned on the radio, and it took 15 minutes to drive from the gym to my house. And I mean, that was just drive time, like let alone getting in and out and all that stuff. And they kept asking the question over and over again about what Happy Days star has been in several of Adam Sandler's movies, right? But it was what what Happy Days character is played by a guy who's been in several of these movies. Well, it was supposed to be the Fonz, right? I was thinking that they were wanting the name Henry Winkler, and I was having such a hard time remembering Henry Winkler's name. And so like we got home and nobody had won yet. And so like I kept dialing. You remember when you just like keep hitting redial, like trying to win something on the radio, right? So you get a ring, and you're like, oh my God, I got a ring. Oh yeah. Oh no. And you'd get so frustrated, man, because it'd be just like, you know,
I broke many phones.
Like, and then all of a sudden you'd get that ring, and it was either going to be, you know, the wrong number caller, or it was going to be, you know, oh, well, it just ended, you know, somebody won. But I got through, and they're like, you know, hey, 102.5, you know, do you have an answer for us? And I was like, I'm kind of going blank, and I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking it's the guy's name, and I'm thinking it's Henry Winkler, but I couldn't think of Henry Winkler's name right there. I mean, I knew it, but I couldn't, and I'm just like, I said, well, it's the Fonz, and he goes, yeah, that's right, you've won. And I'm like, wait a second, it was the Fonz? Nobody knew that? I'm like, I thought, and then I remembered, I said, I thought you were looking for Henry Winkler, and he's like, dude, if you would have gotten Henry Winkler, we would have given you 4 tickets. And I was just like, But yeah,
it's like
man,
that Got Milk commercial where the guy has a peanut butter sandwich and he's like, who shot Alexander Hamilton?
You know who directed that commercial?
Who?
Michael Bay.
Really?
Yep, that was Michael Bay directed that commercial. Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson produced it. That was the first time they worked together, and that, of course, is what gave us Bad Boys and The Rock and a lot of other stuff. Michael Bay actually directed that commercial.
Is it crazy that it's actually that memorable that I still remember it all those years later? Like
it's a good one.
Had to have been in the 90s.
It's C3 penis. Is what it is. It's C3 penis. Actually, you know what? We were talking about last night. Yes, I do like showing off this C3PO because it's amazing. And my buddy Bruce from Jenner Custom Toys does amazing work. I've got a whole wall here of that. Yes, it's goldenrod. You know what we need now is we need an R2 did 2 with a special attachment. That's what they said. He needs a special attachment or a hole in the back for I don't know.
Jesus.
No, what was Zack and Mary make a porno?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh dear Lord.
Speaking of radios, I'm glad that I didn't have playlists when I was a kid, or like they put them together today. The greatest advantage I have of being a senior citizen now, or you and me, Enosh.
I know music, man. That's what I said. Who doesn't know the Fonz? Jeez.
Is that if you had to listen to the radio to get your music for the most part, and that one song you were listening to, you had to hear other music, and you would get exposed to other bands. Now it's so isolated to where the music scene is just really, if you're not into something in particular, you're never going to give anything else a chance.
That's true.
I think that
that's a huge problem actually, because see, that's how I got to loving everything, right? So like I love everything. So like it from my grandma's point of view, my grandma raising me, I remember being in my grandma's car listening to 8 tracks of Dolly Parton, right, and Engelbert Humperdinck, and so I loved that stuff, right? And then as I got old, I mean, listening to Rod Stewart, right? Olivia Newton-John growing up, and then Barry Manilow, right? So like I had this very eclectic, kind of different thing kind of growing up. And then as I got older, like a lot of people know that I got to play guitar for John Schlitt, the lead singer of the band Petra. And Petra was like my favorite band growing up. But you know how I first heard Petra? Was a girl in my church literally let me copy one of her tapes, and that's how I first heard it. And like I was sold after that, and I bought the next few albums or whatever. But that's how I heard new music. You're absolutely right. Was like you would share your songs with and yeah, was it pirating technically? But I guarantee you they sold more music because of it, because then it got you hooked on something that maybe you wouldn't have gone out and bought before, but you bought it, and then you bought the subsequent albums because we took our music more serious, and
I wouldn't have got in justice
tell that to Lars Ulrich.
I know. Well, but Lars has talked about that though, that like he realizes that was now a losing battle. Real quick, Hugo, here's a little bit of information for you. My grandmother dated Engelbert Humperdinck. Yeah.
The only Engelbert Humperdinck song I know is the one that's on the Beavis and Butthead Do America soundtrack. Because I had that soundtrack on cassette.
He's on that?
Yeah, Lesbian Seagull.
What?
There's a bunch of weird stuff on that soundtrack.
Oh, that soundtrack's amazing.
That soundtrack was probably the best one that came out that year.
Sleep after
Roller Coaster?
Love Roller Coaster from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh yeah.
Yesterday.
Did you ever have the Beavis and Butthead experience?
No.
That was have you ever heard the Beavis and Butthead experience?
I've heard it.
Maybe not by that name.
I know what it is.
Oh my God. Okay, so the Beavis and Butthead experience is an album they put together where they've got like Aerosmith, Run DMC,
yes,
Cher. I think they've got Primus has a song on there. The whole thing is it's this weird kind of like collection where Beavis and Butthead are hosting I think they're hosting like a rock show or something, and like they go like hey Beavis, remember that time we partied with Run DMC or whatever, or like they get party with Anthrax and they do this little skit where they like go on Anthrax's tour bus and like Beavis ends up like taking a shit.
Oh wow!
Well, no, because
if you don't remember, Bruce, I bought that one. You didn't send that one to me. I bought that one because as soon as I saw that go up on your page, I was like, I must have it. Just because of the look. If you don't know the history of this, it was a Topps card that was like a hotly debated Topps movie card for years and years and years. Because if you didn't see it, I'll bring it up here again so you can see it. This is the picture of the Topps card right here, and there was this appendage looking thing that was there on the Topps card, and they have used every kind of excuse to try to explain it away. They said that something must have fallen at the exact moment that they took the picture. Bull crap. They've tried to explain, like, say all kinds of crazy things, and it's always been that people thought that it looked, it looks like C-3PO has a penis. That's what it looks like. And then they ended up retouching it and re-releasing it. And so if you find an actual one, it's actually, worth a little bit. There's a lot of reprints that you can find on eBay and stuff for cheap. But yeah, as soon as I saw that you put this up, man, I had to have this. This is part of Star Wars history.
Dude,
Beavis and Butthead, Liquid Television.
Liquid Television! My God!
Man,
now we're going down memory lane, right there.
That was some of the best stuff. We used to host this thing called Spike and Mike's Festival of Animation, and that's where I first saw Frog Baseball, which was a Beavis Butthead. And then the next time I saw it was on Liquid Television, where Eon Flux was there. The Max got its start there. There was just a lot of stuff. That was back when MTV was like the house of ideas in the late 80s, early 90s. And they were just taking a whole bunch of risks, and they still played music, but like that. And that's where you saw Beavis and Butthead.
Wasn't that where South Park got discovered kind of too? Like,
no, South Park was more the internet. It got emailed around. That was that was how that
got rejected a bunch of times, and then finally I think somebody picked it up. But I remember them talking about that. But Liquid Television, it would come on late Sunday nights, right after 120 minutes, and then you had Headbangers Ball. You had a whole bunch of stuff. And what MTV had done at that time is
television.
They figured out, because you had Yo MTV Raps, you had all these shows, right? So what ended up happening
remote control.
Yeah, Ken Ober. The thing that happened was the same thing that happened in LA. Before all that happened, black folks, for the most part, listen to rap. White people, heavy metal, rock, and everything else. But what started happening is as these things started happening, you started seeing Aerosmith, Run DMC, Def Leppard, you started seeing all these things right after your MTV Raps. You decided to hang around, and you got exposed to a whole bunch of demographics of music that before they were segregated. I hate to use that word, but the music scene was segregated for a long, long time, especially if you didn't live in a major city. If you lived in places
I grew up in a small town where it was like classic rock or nothing.
Yeah, classic rock, and you didn't. The radio stations did not do what MTV would do, which was cross over those demographics. And I always say the most important video to hip hop and rock for a long time was Walk This Way, because Aerosmith was almost done.
That was
Aerosmith
a breakthrough.
They were just about done. They had a full career up to that point, and Run DMC was just hitting their stride with Raising Hell, and Rick Rubin took them both, and he saw that, and he got that on airplay on MTV. 2 years later, you couldn't get rap played on the radio at all. There were most black stations in LA wouldn't play rap, and they damn sure weren't playing gangster rap. Yo MTV Rap came on, made it cool to play it, and then all of a sudden they were wondering, well, where did Yo MTV Raps go? And they said they didn't need it anymore. We just integrated everything into what we were doing. So and
then a lot of that started popping up, because I remember when I first started playing guitar. I remember, like, I don't even know how I got it, but like I was playing the old song, one, not the rap song, not the Two Life Crew song, 1 and 1, we're having some fun, but just like the original. Who did that song like way back in the day? Like 1 and 1. I just want to be with you all of the time, all day, and all of the night, right? But then Two Life Crew redid it, and it was like 1 and 1, we're having some fun, in the bedroom, whatever. And so that was like popular when I was a teen. But I started playing guitar, and I remember like I was playing guitar once, and there was this girl over, and like I was playing guitar, and like she thought that I was like trying to be like advancing towards her because I was playing that song, because she recognized the song, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I hadn't heard the Two Life Crew song. But there was a lot of that, man. You're absolutely right. It's such a crossover. It's like people got exposed to stuff that they would have never heard before.
When I first got cable in 1991, it was like CNC Music Factory and like Paula Abdul, and then they had like music blocks, so it'd be like they'd play one song from one genre, another song from another genre, and so like you'd get like the whole span. It was so crazy, because like I said, I grew up on classic rock, so it was like when I finally did that, and I was like, wow, there's more music than Motley Crue. Holy crap, it was really like enlightening, like
the Kinks.
Oh,
man. There you go.
The Kinks. Depending on what kind of city you lived in, like I lived in Los Angeles. And the racial breakdown, the racial breakdown and cultural breakdowns were a little bit more blended at the time. So when you heard this stuff, you're like, I want to see these guys live. I would listen to, and then you go to these concerts and you meet different people, and like I said, it's what doesn't happen a lot today.
Actual networking.
Seems like it's drifted back into the whole segregation type of thing, not necessarily along cultural lines, but along music types, to where it's a little bit more generic. And I think that's where physical media did its best at, is bringing people from all different types of walks through, because you could pass something to someone else, and someone else could pass that, and then MTV built on that with putting a lot of people didn't know that Eddie Van Halen played on a Michael Jackson song until way later. And that he did that on Beat It. And so 10 years later, people were realizing why, because you saw Michael Jackson's Dangerous video back to back with Pound Cake, and the VJ at the time said, hey, interesting fact. And that kind of stuff really sticks with me. I mean, I look at
Remember Pop-Up Video?
Pop-Up Video.
VH1.
Oh my gosh. Pop-Up Video.
I learned so much.
I think it's hilarious now. Especially like because as a teenager, when like you mentioned like the Black Album by Metallica, for example, right? And I remember that era, and like because that's what I learned to play guitar, man. Like I could play the entire Black Album. I could play all of Nirvana's Nevermind album. Within a week. I mean, it really wasn't that hard. I could teach you how to play it.
3-chord songs.
Yeah, when I did give guitar lessons for a while, like people would come in, they're like, baby. Yeah, I'm like, well, who do you like? Well, I like Nirvana. You want to learn the entire Nevermind album in a week? Okay, let's do it. Here we go.
I think I learned Smells Like Teen Spirit in about a half an hour.
Exactly. It's like, it's super easy, just power chords and, whatever. But the thing was that I remember joking around with my friend Rusty back then that, what's going to be funny is when we get older and like you're going to, you know, hear like Metallica and, you know, Snoop Dogg and the Chronic and all this stuff on VH1 or on like the oldie station. Now it's not funny.
No, I don't like it because
now it's not
rock
funny.
is a genre,
but Metallica is technically a classic rock album. That hurts.
No, like I said, it's a genre, not a time period.
When I turn on here in my area, when I turn on 108, FM 108.9, which used to be like Air Supply and Chris Christopherson.
Hey guys, I got a jet, but
all right, Matt. Thanks for coming in, Matt. You know what? I mean, just give your, you know, I know we were talking about Dawn of the Dead there for a while, but you know,
conversations change. It's all good. No, it's all good.
Our conversations definitely evolve when it's a live stream, you know. But maybe we'll have to do a more in-depth thing. Maybe you and me do an audio.
Do a discussion on it. Yeah.
That'd be fun.
I'll do a. Oh, you want to know my final thoughts on Dawn of the Dead?
Yeah, I'd like to know.
It kind of made zombies cool again to I think a younger generation. A lot of people have said it's like as good as the original. That it's to a lot of people it's their favorite zombie movie of all time. And yeah, I think I haven't seen it in a number of years. I need to watch it again, but it introduced us to Zack Snyder and to James Gunn in a way. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, as film fans, we're all better off. So if you haven't seen it, go see it. I think you can rent it for $4 on YouTube right now. I looked up where to stream it at. I'm like, because I don't know where my DVD copy of it is, and I don't have it on Blu-ray. So
yeah, it's hard to find.
Yeah, I got to go pick that one up sometime. I'll find it somewhere. It will be a show. But all right, you guys have yourself a good night, and I'll talk to you guys all later.
All right. Hey, as we continue this conversation, we'll be closing it up in just a couple minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. What were you going to say, Brian?
I just wanted to say something though. Like Metallica's one thing, but when I heard Green Day on classic rock, I wanted to like. I was.
Hey, he's in his 50s now, man. These guys are in their 50s. Metallica, they're all closing in on 60. And like I said, it was weird because that Black Album was the first album of theirs, and it's their best album, by the way. There's no argument there. The best album that they that they put out, and
real quick for the next 5 minutes, real quick. I don't want to cut you off, but I want to make sure everybody gets in that wants to get in. I'm going to give this away tonight. You don't even have to give a super chat. You don't have to give anything. Just we're just going to give this away. It's a 3-movie collection of the 3 Cloverfield movies. And so if you are in the continental United States and you'd like to do this and you haven't already, I've got everybody's name who's done it so far. But just put Cloverfield in the chat, and we're going to do a little spin game in just a minute and give that away. So there you go. But
yeah, man, it was I forgot I got that, and then I just went backwards in a lot of different ways from there. But that album was that's 30 years ago. 30 years ago that album
crazy,
was
man.
And it was just, I mean, I went to the Rose Bowl to see them. It was them, Guns N' Roses, and Motorhead.
Oh wow!
And it was such a,
you know what concert I wish I would have seen back. I mean, because it was at the height was that Guns N' Roses and Metallica tour.
That's the one. That was it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
One that caused a riot in Montreal.
Yes. When he burnt his hand. The show I went to was 2 shows after that. James Hetfield couldn't play. He had a guitar player for him, and he couldn't play. He couldn't play the guitar.
Yeah.
I went. Oh man, that show was great. And then I had never heard a Motorhead song until because it opened up for those 2. So it's limited. I mean, it shook. It shook. That was one of the greatest concerts, and I saw him again.
Freaking awesome.
When I came back from basic training, they were here in Vegas on that same tour. So I caught them on the front end, but Metallica was still doing a tour for live stuff, Binge and Purge.
Yeah.
And so they were back in on that one. So I got to see him, and James Hetfield could play the guitar at that point. And it was wow. Like I said, I'm so happy that I grew up in Southern California at that particular time, because all you had to do is express that you liked that particular band, and then you had a bunch of tapes. I mean, it was like it was this little pocket of people that wanted to experience that type of music with everybody else, and it didn't matter. I came from a family that listened to Motown, and it just wasn't my thing. I just, I just didn't want. And I was listening to Hendrix, and I'm like, okay, this guy's been dead longer than I've been alive. Where else do I get something like this? and that's what led me into those circles, man. But the Black Album, holy mackerel!
Come on, OG Steppenwolf, no, look.
As far as a lasting band, I can agree on that one.
Well,
but Appetite for Destruction is one of the best albums.
Listen,
ever.
Let me say this. As far as like bands that suck, as far as bands that suck, as far as like personality wise. Okay, and like and getting a big head and like doing the
Axl
whole
was a douche.
That's every band in the 80s.
I know, but Axl was completely a douche. Slash, I don't know, he seemed kind of laid back, but like it just seemed like they all got big heads, they all thought they were bigger than the music that they were, and I get that. But I'm sorry, Appetite for Destruction is that album is revolutionary
because Paradise City,
every single song. And I'll be honest with you, I love both Use Your Illusion albums. I love them both. There's a couple.
Mine was on Terminator 2.
Yeah, You Could Be Mine. Oh my god.
They wouldn't play Coma on the radio because it was about suicide. It's one of their best songs ever. Hey, Appetite for Destruction. And this song where 90% of the songs are about either prostitution or drugs.
Yeah.
Every other song.
I'll take that, OG Steppenwolf. Yeah. Axl is
Mr. Brownstone. I didn't know that was a metaphor for heroin until later in life. Rocket Queen was about heroin and drugs and prostitution. I mean, they gave
My Michelle. I'm just like, I love that song.
Michelle. Night Train was about every song.
I'm on the night train.
Oh man,
I love that stuff. I'm on the night train. Can't get enough. Yeah,
Rocket Queen might be one of the best songs of that decade.
Yeah, I love that song.
The two layers of that song, where it starts out with Rocket Queen, and then it starts out and it gets really slow. It's like an 8-minute song. Oh, that was Guns N' Roses. Like I said, they didn't do a lot of work. To be honest with you, they did not put out a lot of albums. They only put out like 4 albums. They got the most.
And the amazing thing is you know what I love most about that kind of stuff. Okay, if you listen to Appetite for Destruction, there are mistakes on that album. There are time issues with some of the songs on the album. No synchronization, no auto tune, none of that stuff, folks. It is
none of those
pure, I know it's just pure rock and roll. But I mean, especially on Appetite for Destruction, because they were still doing tricks and things back then. I mean, like listen to Def Leppard, right? Like I love Def Leppard, but like Def Leppard
they
looped
the hell out of Rick Allen after.
Yeah, I mean they did some interesting things on the Def. I love you froze up.
Def Leppard what?
It was you who froze up. I think
when they started processing.
When stuff to start. Yeah, it was like process drums and stuff like that. But man, that Guns N' Roses album, Appetite for Destruction, is so just perfect the way it is.
Unrefined is the word that I use.
It's raw. It's absolutely raw. The guitar tone that Slash has on that. I mean, listen to Welcome to the Jungle, for God's sake. It is. Oh, and then such a great pop rock song like Sweet Child of Mine.
You still hear it on the radio today?
Oh, dude, listen, my band, we play Sweet Child of Mine, and it's so funny because sometimes you play in a band with people, and years later, like when you're not playing with those people anymore, like when you were playing with them, you didn't really appreciate each other as much as you should have. And it's funny because the band that I play in now, Waking Vegas, we do Sweet Child of Mine. And it's that song. As soon as people hear that opening guitar riff, and I go and do that little thing, people just come alive because there's just something about that. It's recognizable. It's instantly recognizable. They love it. And they go to it. But it's funny because I played a show with my former drummer in my first band, the band I was talking about earlier, Antioch. And I was in that band for 10 years. And at the end, me and the drummer had been in there from the beginning to the end. And it was so funny because he was playing in another band at the time called Super Heavy Black Dirt. And our bands played together at this show. And it was one of the first times that we ever did Sweet Child of Mine, and we busted out. And it was like, even my old drummer came up to me and he goes, "Man, you did a really great job on Sweet Child of Mine on the lead, on the solo and everything." And like really dug. It's just one of those songs just makes you feel good, Dude,
November Rain, that music video still gives me goosebumps 30 years later.
Dude, that was the soundtrack of that year. was November Rain. You couldn't. It was almost like the movie Titanic, where like you couldn't get away from the movie Titanic.
My Heart Will Go On. I'm dead serious.
Yeah, you could not get away from November Rain. I mean that would just come on and just we would all like laugh and joke about it, like to do like that Slash guitar pose where he's like standing out in the middle of the desert, you know, and you're just like, and I'm just sorry, but like. Those guitar, you know, Slash was a very underrated guitar player.
And they were amazing.
People who don't know music like Slash. I know a lot of guitar players who at the time they didn't like Slash because Slash wasn't doing the neoclassical, you know, speed demon Yngwie Malmsteen stuff. You know, he was more bluesy. He was a true like rock guitar player. And I loved it, man. I loved his tone. I loved just hearing him play. It was just, and I still like hearing Slash play to this day because I just think this Slash had this Slash just had it as far as I'm concerned. There are a few times, ladies and gentlemen, where you get a combination of a lot of things, not just great players, but somebody who can write great songs. You know who's the best example of that? And Ryan, you mentioned him earlier, Eddie Van Halen.
Oh,
Eddie Van Halen, like everybody talks about what a guitar virtuoso he was, and he was. And you know, it really bothers me to this day when I start seeing people. There's a real push from some musicians today, and I call them guitar snobs, and I've known plenty of them over the years who, you know, they would go off on Eddie because they're like, well, yeah, but Eddie didn't create tapping. So what? Like Eddie perfected tapping. Eddie tapped like, and for those of you who don't know what tapping is, that's when you take and you're not picking the guitar strings and playing at the same time. You're using both hands and basically you're tapping on the fretboard and you're using it. And so it's like what they call hammering on, basically pressing down and then hammering off, letting go of the string. And so that's where you get those.
Randy Rhoads does the hell out of it on
yeah, man.
Train. It's like,
well, and he does a cool little thing because I love playing Crazy Train too. But when you do that, and so I do pick tapping on that and just because it's like way up here. And so like I got my pick and I'm just like, yeah. So that stuff, yeah. So that's exactly what that is. When Bill and Ted do their little like that's what that is. They're mimicking tapping, and so Eddie was credited for a long time for people who just, you know, all these videos surfaced over the years of, you know, like Les Paul, Chet Atkins and other ones, you know, like doing a form of tapping. You know, they didn't quite do it like Eddie because Eddie would do two-handed tapping. These guys would do one-handed tapping or whatever. But Eddie perfected that and did it like nobody else. But here's the thing. Not only was Eddie an amazing guitar player, Eddie wrote great songs. Like he just, man.
He wrote great songs, but to me, there's two different eras of Van Halen.
For sure.
One of them I like, and the other one I just it's just kind of there for me. The Van Hagar one, he got more credit as a better songwriter than he did prior to that. To be honest with you, prior to that, and Hot for Teacher is a classic example of what Van Halen was prior to Sammy Hagar coming on. These guys are all great, but when that song opens up, it opens up with a drum solo, then it drifts over to a guitar solo. Then it's four guys on stage doing their own thing, having a party. When 5150 came out, they were making songs.
Yes,
they were making songs that fit with each other. Eddie's guitar playing fit with Sammy's voice. Sammy's voice and range fit with Mike Anthony's bass play. Everything fit.
It's two different bands.
Took it to another level too. Like
it is absolutely two different bands.
A lot of the Van Halen or the Sammy Hagar, the synthesizer started taking a little more presence. Piano started taking a little more presence. Right now, I mean, come on, dude.
Right
now, you not remember like the first part of that song where it was just like,
right now, like is like an anthem, man. That is such a great song. I remember
go to a live sporting event and not hear
it. I played in a band for a while with a guy who was an amazing keyboard player, and he didn't listen to a lot of he was raised in a very traditional kind of sheltered Christian world for a long time, you know, when he was younger, and so he didn't get to hear a lot of that stuff. So he had never heard Right Now. And I'll never forget, because when he told me that, I said, come here. I sat him down. I plugged him in, gave him a set of headphones. I said, listen to this song. And he just came across like we need to do stuff like this. and
he just kept getting better. And that album is a great album. You got Pound Cake on that album. You got a lot of different space on that album. Somebody said something about AC/DC. Man, that's a band that I did get a chance to listen to. Them and Black Sabbath, but not the Ozzy version. I never caught on to me.
In hindsight, the
Dio version. Dio was better. Dio was better. A lot of people don't want to say that because Ozzy is considered to be a rock god. But if you listen to him from a pure melodic point of view, Dio
like
is
a rainbow in the dark.
Not only that, but if you know some of the stuff that happened, like behind the scenes kind of stuff, it's like he was kind of a douche, and then like he would quit one day and then come back the next day and be like, all right, I'm ready to do the song.
Right.
It's like, dude,
without you quit.
It's like, okay, bro.
So Mr. Fahrenheit, I will say
that's
this.
Tony Iommi's band, man.
Mr. Fahrenheit, I don't understand why Nickelback takes the flack that they get.
They appeal to a demographic that is not necessarily most masculine. And it's nothing that they do. They sing a lot of love songs. They are considered to be like a light, safe rock.
I really like the song If Everyone Cared. If everyone cared, nobody cried or nobody lied or whatever. You know, we see the day when nobody died or whatever. I like that song. You know what? Actually, my favorite music video of all time is for Saving Me by Nickelback. Saving
Spider-Man soundtrack song too.
Well, yeah, and they say that a hero can save us.
Dawson's a staunch defender of Nickelback.
I know. Well, I will defend Nickelback too, just because of the fact that, like I said, my favorite music video is "Saving Me" because the concept to that is absolutely an amazing concept for a video. That being said, I just don't understand why people hate them so much.
It's because they played them too much on the radio.
That too. That does.
That's why I don't like them. They just played the hell out of them. I'm just like, Nickelback again. All right, what's
Dio is better. Dio is better, and there's so many fights I started with that. Like, you don't know what you're talking about, man. You don't know what you're talking about. Ozzy. I'm like, no, I can't. No,
Dio is way better. Like
Dio was better.
He can actually sing. Like
he can actually sing.
No shade at Ozzy, but come on.
Yeah, when you can sing, you bring out the range of a guitar player. In my opinion, the guitar is rising to meet your talents as a vocalist.
Especially somebody like Tony Iommi. Like, come on, man.
Do you guys want to see a for me just a throwback? So this was. Thank you, Todd. I appreciate that. I'll take that $5 super chat. Oh, like a rainbow. You're talking about the band Rainbow. Yes, the band Rainbow was absolutely amazing.
Just freaking instead of Tony Iommi playing guitar, you got Richie Blackmore. So it's like, yeah, I could do.
No, I know, Mr. Fahrenheit. You know, music is all subjective, right? And so, like, you know, everybody can find something. You know, like I know not all Nickelback is good. Not all Nickelback is good.
Stop playing it.
But I know. But thank you, Todd. I appreciate it. So if you guys got a minute, I'll show you something, and then after we do this, I'll pick the winner of our Cloverfield giveaway. So this is a throwback for me. The band I play in now is called Waking Vegas, and that's the current stuff. And I've got like 5 music videos and stuff. I'm a lot fatter in those music videos, but I got that. But here is something from like 2003 or 4. And this was my old band. I loved playing in this band, by the way. This was a band called Some Strange Way. And this band was super tight. And this was, we were actually starting to do things. And I wish that we had done a sophomore album because honestly, this is the one song that we wrote together as a band. Everything else on the album I had written previously, and there's a couple of really, really great songs in there that I really, really enjoy. But this was the song that like all of us came together and wrote this song, and this is where we were going. And there's no guitar solo in this song, but there's an awesome piano and synthesizer thing going on. But let me just play this for you guys because I hope you guys will enjoy this because this was a lot of fun from a band perspective when I was younger. So.
And like a little bit of a Dawkins vibe, man.
Yeah, here.
I need you to lift me up and give me something more than what I'm getting.
Definitely Dawkins. Oh, wow.
I need you to bring me in, forgive me of my sin. It's what I'm needing.
So serious.
'Cause here I am once again. I'm down on my knees, a broken man. I need you now, like never before. See where I am, come near me, Lord. Here I am, here I am.
This is really good, dude.
This was 03, 04, you said? 03?
Yeah, it's like 0304.
Like getting some George Lynch vibes, man. Right.
No, but definitely I can hear Dawkins off through it.
Yeah, dude, that's great, man.
Next goes into this dream sequence.
Where I'm heading. My greatest fears I sometimes realize, looking in disguise, they almost catch me. But here I am once again. I'm down on my knees, a broken man. I need you now, like never before. See where I am, come near me, Lord. Here I am, here I am.
You still got that guitar?
There's only
No, I just got rid of it last year.
Oh, wow. You got it for a long time.
It's not on my own. There's only one way I can do this, to find my way back home. There's nothing I can do or say to make the kind of change needed in me. I'm nothing on my own, but in you every day.
What was your inspiration for that song?
I'll tell you in just a minute.
I'm down on my knees, a broken man. I need you now, like never before. See where I am, near me, Lord. Here I am, once again. I'm down on my knees, a broken man. I need you now, like never before. See where I am, near me, Lord. Here I am. Here I
This is cool here. It just happened to work out that the place that we shot this had this grand piano and the sun went down and they had a spotlight on it.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's...
I like the Vision Bell a little bit.
Yeah.
Sounds like a cross between Dawkins and Triumph.
That's good. Here's a little trivia here for you from that. So at the end there, we tuned down a half step, and so when he went to go play it for the video, he played it normal, because we'd play live, he was the keyboard player, and so he would just transpose his keys down a half step with us, and so we get there, and he's gonna play that piece, and so he's just like, well, how should I play it? I'm just like, dude, just play it the way you're supposed to play it, and just play it along to the playback. And so like we're playing the actual song over the sound system for him to play along to, but he's playing basically in a key a half step lower than it. It sounded like Insane Clown Carnival going on because it was all like out of tune and stuff. But it was fun. We shot that entire thing in one day on zero budget. We had no money. It was just, I knew that I wanted to shoot it in a like a old style cathedral type of church. And I just knew these people who had one, and I asked him if we could do it. And the guy who the boss at the beginning who fires the guy, he was the pastor there, and he just literally gave me the keys and said, "Do whatever you want, man. I'll see you later." And I was like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah." And so we did that, and we were like, so you asked where the inspiration came from. So we had a guy approach the band, and he was a filmmaker, and he's just like, hey guys, I really like your stuff. And which was really cool because this guy had only done rap videos up to that time. He was a black guy, and he did rap videos. His name is Imagine, and I'm still friends with him to this day. Super great guy. And he said, "Hey, I really like your stuff. I would love to shoot a music video for you guys." And we were like, okay. And he's like, and I was like, but we don't have the money to do that. And he's like, "No, dude, I'll do it. I just want to do it." He's like, "I just want to work with you guys. You guys are just really cool. And I've seen your shows and stuff, and I really like you." And so we're like, okay. So we all had this meeting, and we sat down, and I'll never forget it. We were in this like coffee shop, and we're talking, and he's like, "So like, what kind of concepts, do you have any concepts for it? Whatever." And it was ironic because we had done a photo shoot, that year outside all these things, but we found this old church. It's not that church, but it literally looks like it could be. Right. And so it just happened to work out that way. And so we sit down and we went around the room, and I was trying to be diplomatic because usually I'm like idea guy, and I was trying to be diplomatic and let other people have input and stuff. So we're going around and and at the time we had scaled down. So there was only 3 of us in the band. The guy who was running through the woods and all that stuff, that's Joe. He was not a member of the band at the time. He ended up becoming our bass player. So it ended up that all of us ended up in the music video. So it was such a crazy synergy thing that just happened to work out that made no sense. And so he was there. And so we sit down, and nobody had any thoughts. And they're like, "Well, we thought you would come up with something, talking to Imagine." And he's like, "Well, no, I want to properly represent you guys, and stuff. So what song are you thinking about doing?" And we had all kind of agreed on this song, this Here I Am song, because it really represented all of us because we had written this song together. And so I said, "So nobody has any ideas?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "And so nobody's going to be upset if I have an idea?" And they're like, "No, what do you have?" I pull out this binder, and I'm like, "Okay, I've been thinking about this. I've been working on this." And there's an old book called Pilgrim's Progress that it's an allegory, and it's an allegory for a Christian coming from. It's really cool. It's high concept stuff where basically this guy, his name is Pilgrim, and he lives in the land of despair, and he carries this heavy burden on his back. And and he travels through life basically with this burden on his back. And then one day somebody tells him about the celestial city, and he goes off on this pilgrimage to find the celestial city, and basically he goes through this transformation. And at one point, he's in I can't remember all of the stuff, but he's in a really bad spot, and he finds hope. And this guy, he yells out, for help. Oh, that's what it is. Help, help, help. And this guy comes up and lends a hand because he's sinking in these tar pits, and he pulls him out, and he's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm Help. You called for me." He's like, "My name is Help." And so everybody in the book kind of has those kind of names and stuff. And so at the end, he ends up on this hill. He changes his name. His name becomes Christian, and he lets go of his heavy burden. And then he makes his way to the Celestial City. But in there, he's traveling through the forest and through the woods. It's almost like a Lord of the Rings kind of thing. You know, you're off on this pilgrimage journey kind of thing. And so he goes through this whole thing. So I was thinking that, and I come on, I'm like, okay, so there's this guy, and he gets fired from his job, and everything is going wrong. His car doesn't start, all this stuff. And I just as what you guys just saw right there. And then I'm like, but then, you know, he gets mad, and he gets in his car, and then he kind of goes into this dream sequence, and he's in a forest, and there's this path that goes two ways, and one's like all covered in dark, and one is bright and sunny, and he goes off in the dark way, and he gets lost in the woods, and he's flailing around, he's doing all this stuff, and finally, you know, at the end, he comes out upon this, you know, cathedral style church, and they're just looking at me like, what the heck, man? Like, we don't have a budget for, like, where do you know where we're going to do this? And I'm like, I have
a cathedral church, man.
I know. I'm like, I have no idea. And I told him, I'm like, I have no idea how we're going to do this, where we're going to do this, anything. And so like, he comes out of this church, he ends up inside the church. There's like stained glass windows. And like at the end, he just kind of falls down at the end, man. And then like, you know, you could be playing piano at the end, because the piano part was in the song. And I said, you know, it'd be really cool if we had like a grand piano and you were playing that. And they just looked at me like I was crazy. And I kid you not, I made one phone call to that guy, and to that pastor of that church, and he said, yeah, come on up. And so we had the church, and then we started telling him what we were looking for, and we thought we were going to have to film it over a couple of days. And he goes, well, there's a nature preserve 5 minutes from here. And so we're like, okay, well, let's go check it out. And so like we drove to that place in 5 minutes. As soon as we walk in, I kid you not, right after the entrance to the park, there it was, this path that goes two ways. One's covered, one's not, one's wooded and everything. Joe goes running through the woods, getting all scuffed up and falling all over the place. And then we brought him back and filmed at the church. And it was perfect. It was like, it's one of those synergy things that you just can't explain, can't describe. And it worked out. Duplicate. I know. Awesome. And it was perfect and so much fun. And so, yeah. So I don't always share. I've got like 5 music videos for my new band, but that was a great time in my life. I loved playing in that band. It was such a tight band too, and talented, and yeah. So we had an album just called Some Strange Way. I might actually put that up on. I don't think I've ever uploaded it to iTunes. I should probably do that. Yeah, if you guys.
It's a good song, man. Like I said, man.
Like so I was watching all the influences, listening to, like I said, Docking. Docking. They seem to have that resonant sound back in the mid '80s. Docking, and like I said, I don't know. Most people have never heard of Triumph, but if you have heard of Triumph and you listen to that video, you'll see what I mean. But yeah, they had that type of escalating melody and that power ballad to them. They didn't make that much. I think they had like one hit, but you know, it was the mid '80s, man. But I can see where a lot of that influence comes from.
Oh, thank you guys. You guys are all super nice.
I'd like to answer Mr. Fahrenheit's question as to why we didn't bring up Backstreet Boys.
Yes,
because NSYNC was way better.
Bye.
Yeah, no instruments though. Nobody's playing any instruments, man.
That's
I know.
True. I mean, it was like New Kids on the Block.
Yeah,
I remember watching their cartoon show when I was a kid.
All that dancing, you know,
right?
I mean, that's fine. I mean, everybody has their thing.
I wouldn't have Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah,
a broken plunger. That's true. That's true, Plunger. You are a broken plunger. I'm so sorry for that. Well, we could have put you in the video, I guess.
Broken plunger.
The emoji for that is hilarious. The fact that within minutes that erupted from that one show into this legendary plunger thing is hilarious, man.
I know. Whoever's doing that, and I think I have a good idea who's doing it, but whoever's doing it, thank you for bringing. Thank you, because I think it's the same person who's doing like a bunch of those things. You know, they come in as Ann Sarnoff and Walter Hamad. I think it is, but the fact that the plunger actually started a Twitter account is absolutely.
I was happy to be watching that show when that was born.
It's just great stuff. All right. Well, so here's what we're going to do, guys. We are going to give away this pack right here. This 3-pack of the Cloverfield movies. It's got Cloverfield. It's got 10 Cloverfield Lane, and it's got the Cloverfield Paradox. Paradox. It's another one that you've never heard of, Paradox, on there. And so, yep. So we're going to give this one away, and this is how we're going to give it away. I took your names down. Everyone who put your name down. Actually, you know, if you haven't gotten your name down in here and you want to do it real quick, if you're in the continental United States, I'll give you just a couple of seconds to get your name in for it. If you're in the continental United States, that's why we're going to do it here, so I don't have to ship it internationally. But you don't even have to give a super chat or become a member. I would love it if you became a member. I actually have to do two. I can do 2 more emoticons. So I think I'm going to have a contest to have people submit artwork for emoticons. So we can have some more emoticons for those in the live streams who are members. But yeah, so I'll close it here in like 10 seconds. We'll give you all you got. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't tell you what you had to do. All you got to do is type Cloverfield into the chat. And so I'll give you about 15, 20 seconds to do that. And then we will go ahead and spin this wheel and pick a winner. And then we will call it a night. All right.
All right, Enosh. Hey, thanks
All
for
right.
having me, man. I got a bolt. It's like
All right.
literally got 1 minute, but thanks for having me.
All right, William. Absolutely.
have a good night,
Always
man.
a
Master
blessing
of
to have you.
none. Jarbo, next time I see you, if you're around, the glowing eyes.
That
All right,
was
thanks,
truly
man.
that was truly brilliant, man. You and Jarbo
was
going
fun,
at
man.
it, man. It was absolutely hilarious. I loved it. I loved it.
Cloverfield.
Brian, I love it, man. When we don't even where'd you go? There you are. Okay, here you are. I love it, Brian, when we don't even know how the night's gonna end. And,
Hey man, it turned into a music conversation. I always like music conversations. Like some of those are some of the best because it's like, I don't know. I suppose it's a little bit different than music because it's like it's easier to like more than one kind of genre of music. So it's like it always turns out to be a little bit more positive, especially when you talk about older stuff. It's like there's a lot of memory. It's like some of those are some of my treasured memories of childhood, is like sitting there recording music off the radio. I mean, that was like a rite of passage, you know. And you always remember that first piece of media that you got. Like my first 8-track, it was like 8-tracks were way before my time. So I got like a hand-me-down. Like everything I had was a hand-me-down. So it was like a hand-me-down 8-track player, hand-me-down cassette player, hand-me-down CD player. So it was like, all right, cool. So it was like my first 8-track was Platinum and Gold from Leonard Skinner.
Heck yeah. Look at you, man. Look at
I
you.
just remember sitting there listening to Give Me Back My Bullets. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun.
That's
and then
funny.
like my first cassette tape, like I said, that was purchased for me, not that like was around, was Smash from the Offspring. And my first CD was the Blue Album from Weezer. So it was like,
there you go.
I really like that that genre around the time. So
all right, so here we go. This is who I have in it, and I think I am going to require though that you are here to get it, because you'll have to contact me. So this is who I have. If you win, you're going to have to put in the chat that you're here, so that I know that you're here. Here's who I got. I got Nick Hammond. I got Cool Mo D21. I got Black Ops. I got Ryanhartwell. I got Eat More Tacos, Bradley Latham, Kinky Sphincter, Mr. Fahrenheit, and that one Carlos. So that's who I got in here. Everybody's I'm gonna update the thing right here. So everybody's in there now. Okay, now good. It's all updated. And oh, I don't know, man. Old Steppenwolf. I love all music, man. So I don't think that I could agree with that. Because I love it all. I love it all. You do suck. Says I'm Frankie Sharp, the CEO of Sharp Records, and I want to sign you to a 6-album deal. See you in the morning, Enosh. Well, you know where to find me. I'm right here, man. I'm right here.
And how dare you? Spice World from the Spice Girls was the best movie ever.
Well, I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. So there you go. All right. Are you ready, Brian? We're gonna do this thing. We're gonna do this thing diplomatically. All right.
Man.
So if you win,
amazing.
So if you win, you gotta comment right away, or we're gonna spin it again. So here we go. And around it goes. Who was the win? Nick Hammond is the winner. Nick, are you still here, buddy? If you're still here, you are the winner of this Cloverfield 3 DVD set. Are you here? We'll give you. There, he's here. Awesome. Well, there you go, folks. Nick Hammond is our winner. Congratulations, Nick. So glad you could be a winner. And you know what? It's also cool. Nick is our newest. Just happens to be our newest member of the channel. He joined last night. So
heck yeah, there you go, buddy.
Congrats, Nick. And don't worry, guys, there will be plenty more giveaways. I got a really cool giveaway coming up this next week, Brian, that a lot of people are really gonna want. So yeah. So just saying we're gonna do that. So Nick, get a hold of me on social media, like on Twitter or whatever, you know, all the places, and so that I can get your information and be able to send that out to you. So hey guys, thanks for joining us tonight. Tonight was fun and a good time. I you know, we started off talking, like I said, I watched Dawn of the Dead tonight for the first time, and I just gotta say I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I should say I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. It's got me now excited for Army of the Dead, and yeah, we all really liked it, and I think it's a great movie. And if you haven't seen Dawn of the Dead, go watch it. It's really good. You know, especially with all of the you know, Snyder stuff that we talk about around here. You know, put my money where my mouth is, and I watched the Snyder cut. So
there you go. No, I might have to wait till daytime and then watch a zombie movie again. Get over some personal fears of mine.
There you go. Yeah. Watch it by yourself at night with the lights off, Brian. With the lights off, Brian. Yeah. Good night, everybody. Love you all. Yes, it is. I guess it is in the same universe. Army of the Dead is in the same universe, just in a different place. So I look forward. I look forward to seeing that real soon. Guys, remember what I always say. Don't let anybody tell you that your fandom doesn't matter. But remember to treat everybody with respect. And but you know, sometimes you got to call stuff out when you see it and be willing to do that. But you know what? But treat everybody with respect. And if you do that, there'll always be a place for you here in the Poindexter Lounge. As the Plunger would say, another night without my handle. Good night. There you go. Big Dub, I literally just looked up random picker, like random wheels, you know, spin the wheel.
That's
thing.
high technology, man.
Yeah.
That adds interest. You're like, oh, come on, big money.
Right, big money. Like we could be all night like, well, if Nick hadn't won, let's see who else would have won. No. But hey guys, it's always a pleasure being here with you guys every night. Thank you, Brian, for being here tonight, man. I appreciate it. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you? You guys need to go subscribe to this man right here. Go subscribe to this man. Brian is absolutely amazing, and he's got a great channel, and you guys should go subscribe.
I always need to have my link queued up. I never freaking do.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a Brian Master of None on YouTube and on Twitch as well. I like to get my Twitch going a little bit more just because of the ability to play video games without worrying about, you know, said music from video games. Because YouTube's kind of weird about that sort of thing, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense if they want to try to get people to play video games on YouTube. So
yeah, that's true. It was truly a fun night. Thanks to Matt Jarbo. Thanks to William who stopped by. And thanks to all of you who are in the chat and all of you guys for making the Poindexter Lounge such a great place. And also thanks to everybody who stood up for me this week or last night on Twitter that I shared earlier. And you know what? For you guys, you guys get the Robin of Locksley bonus.
Robin of Locksley, give me a bonus.
Until next time, folks, I'm going to leave you tonight with a little bit of my grandmother, since we talked about my grandma dating Inkelberg Humperdinck, and then a little bit of Zack Snyder from last year's Justice Con. Don't forget, Justice Con is next Saturday and Sunday, and yours truly will be there. If you haven't already, go find the Justice Con YouTube page, YouTube channel. I need a link for that, actually, but go over to the if you just look up Justice Con, it's right there. And subscribe to that so that you will be able to watch all the amazing panels next Saturday and Sunday. I'm telling you what, Brian, There's some amazing stuff. I cannot wait for them to announce all the stuff so that I can actually talk about it, because it's so good. So I leave you with my grandma and Zack Snyder talking to the Nerd Queens and Wonder Meg from last year. We'll see you guys later. Remember, everybody, stay nerdy. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the Point Dexter Lounge. I'm Enosh's grandma, and I say yes, release the Snyder Cut.
That's right. Even grandma knows. Congratulations, Zack.
So the film was finished in the cut that I am working on was finished in February of, I think that was it 2017? Yeah, February of 2017. The cut was finished. You know, and then that's the giant, you know, super long version of the movie, my kind of penultimate version. And then the work we did in the subsequent months was to shorten the movie to the studio mandate that we never really got to.